Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Here's something to think about this morning. Riots and protests were rapidly getting out of hand in L.A., Miami, Atlanta, and New York. Tear gas, water hoses, beanbags, and rubber bullets. Nothing was working. Finally, desperate, police had to fly helicopters over and dump boxes of job applications into the raging mobs. Crowds were dispersed in less than 2 minutes. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. There's a lot of truth in that, too. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and good morning on a Wednesday. My goodness, already August 7th, and I'm Zeb Bell on Zeb at the Ranch, and we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 great locations, wonderful people, great service, and, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. And right now, a lady that is going to be featured on the cover of Good Housekeeping. They're doing a photo shoot in her kitchen. Here she is, Gina Jameson.
Good Housekeeping?
Well, that's the best I could do at the spur of the moment.
Okay, I'm thinking they don't want me on the cover of Good Housekeeping, but sure, okay.
Why, I understand you keep a beautiful house.
Oh, have you ever been to my house?
No. I've never been invited.
A dog. Oh, you can come over to my house anytime.
Is yours the one with the skull and crossbones on the front door?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just thought I'd check.
Yeah. So, did you have a wonderful evening?
Had some wonderful, dear friends come over to the house last night, Larry and Nancy Hudig, and we sat outside on our deck and just visited. I mean, it was nothing formal. It was just really comfortable last night.
Oh, that sounds like a wonderful time. I had to went to Jerome for the parade,
yeah,
and for the kickoff to the Jerome County Fair, and so took a little boy, and we had a good time and let him go on the rides, and we didn't get home until late.
You know, I honestly believe this, Gina, and I won't take a lot of time on this, but we'll talk about it later this morning.
Sure.
I think that if the world, everybody in the world, had a front porch or a deck, the world would be a nicer, more pleasant place.
Amen.
There you go.
Amen. Yep.
Okay, who do we have as a pledge this morning?
Michael Rogers is on for the pledge and for the weather.
All right, Michael, if you would, please, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Morning, everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There you go. Michael Rogers is coming up next, but first of all, I want to tell you about his sponsor, Rock Creek Growers, on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. They've got patio pavers and wall blocks, and they got all those pots I've been telling about. Oh, my goodness. All the different decorative pots. And as a matter of fact, all the way through this month, they're 50% off, so you better get in there and check it out. All the colors, sizes, shapes, and textures to fit your specific needs. Absolutely at Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. And now here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Well, Zed talked about the weather forecast today, what he went through last night, how very comfortable it was. Well, you get more of the same tonight. Get a little bit hot during the day, but our theme is dog days of summer, hot days, comfortable night. 94 for the high today, 62 for the overnight low. More of the same tomorrow is going to take us all the way through the weekend. And oh, by the way, because it was not put in the official forecast of the National Weather Service, don't be surprised you might get a little thunder boomer later on this evening. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
Hey, Michael, real quick before you hang up and say adios, on those thunder boomers, anything to really be concerned about? Any severity, or what are you saying?
When you get a thunderstorm, it's not so much the severity, although there was nothing said from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. That's where you get the information from. And you can't really play around with a thunderstorm. What you have to be cognizant of is the location where you are at, because where you're at Murtaugh, right next to the South Hill, I call that microburst city. And you can't really take that with any more grain of salt, that microburst, a shot of wind coming out of a thunderstorm, about 55, 60 miles an hour, they come unannounced. So when I say a thunder boomer or a thunderstorm, you're going to get rain, you're going to get thunder, you're going to get lightning, and oh, by the way, by virtue of where you live, you could possibly get a microburst. This is why I always say, please do not take them lightly. So far, nothing major from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. A basic summertime thunderstorm in the Magic Valley of South Central Idaho. There you go.
All right, MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you by our friends at Rock Creek Growers in the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. Today on the program at 9:06, we've got Doug Johnson from Colorado. He has become a weekly fixture on our program and does a wonderful job. And then, of course, we're going to be visiting at 9:30 this morning with Minidoka County Sheriff Eric Snar. What a nice man. What a nice man. Had a nice visit with him the other day. Then later on this morning, excuse me, I'm a little bit hay-fevered this morning, we're going to have Cassia County Fair President Sam Yoshida. Nice guy. And then at 10:30 this morning, Jack Euler is going to talk about the sage grouse issue. So we got a lot of things cooking here this morning. Don't forget, and your calls are welcome right now. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Open at 7:30 in the morning. Somebody called me yesterday on my cell phone, and they said, do they really throw the doors open at 7:30 and stand outside and have a group hug and sing Kumbaya? Yep, they do. You can find them there every morning outside the door. Ramsey Heating and Electric, over 57 years in business, serving you with warm winters and cool summers, fluorescent and HID lighting, all your electrical needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric. You stop in and see them today. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We are in the middle right now of fair season. It is really gangbusters. Jerome, Minidoka just finished, and Lincoln County finished a week ago, and then Cassia County starting this next week. All kinds of fairs coming up. And I want to remind everybody that Valley White Home and Ranch has all your needs, whether it's clothing for you to go to the fair or show your livestock, or whether it's all your livestock items, you know, the halters, the show sticks, the shampoos, everything is at Valley White Home and Ranch. All your boots, everything. And by the way, if you're going to take a couple of days off this summer to just say, I want to relax, they've got all your camping and fishing and hunting needs, all the fishing lures. What a nice group to work with at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida. And Rupert, you stop in and see Steve and the rest of the crew today. You know, I want to just say something here. There's a lot of world events that warrant talking about this morning, but there's another event right here in the United States that I think should be said because it's applicable to many, many of our younger athletes, and I just want to mention this a little bit this morning. Johnny Manziel, last year's Heisman Trophy Award winner from Texas A&M, has the world in the palm of his hand. He is one of the finest young football players in the United States in the past, in the future, and presently. This kid has got talent that all the pro scouts are just drooling over, okay? They call him, his nickname is Johnny Football. He's got it all. He's got it all, he's won it all, he's been it all, and he's got all the celebrity around him 24/7, 365. But he doesn't know how to handle it. He's had way too many problems. His nightlife and his social life, his extracurricular messes. He's 20 years old. He's 20 years old, and he's making a mess out of a life that could be absolutely phenomenal. He's going, I think, in the same route and down the same disastrous streets as Alex Rodriguez and others before him. I think this kid is headed for a train wreck, and it's so unfortunate. He needs a good, swift kick in the fanny. He's got everything but common sense. And I'm seeing this more and more and more in all sports. It doesn't make any difference what sport. He's got 3 more years of college eligibility, but he doesn't have any guidance, and I don't know where his parents are. Now, don't go giving me this story. Oh, well, he's 20 years old, and he's thinking for himself. No, I'm not going to buy into that. When you've got the world just basically out there to give you everything because of your talents, he needs guidance, and he needs parental responsibility. He actually needs somebody like a Japanese sumo wrestler to pick up a 2x4 and drill him right in the forehead. And it makes me mad because here's a kid that's 20 years old and all this talent, all this ability, and he right now is on the verge of wasting it. He's in a lot of trouble with Texas A&M University. He's in a lot of trouble perhaps with eligibility because he took a lot of money for an autograph session, and he's in a lot of trouble for his partying. And again, I'll go back and say, where are the parents? Where are his family? Where are his friends that are going to say, Johnny Football, you better sit down and realize what's going on? And quite frankly and roughly, this kid honestly needs a good punch underneath the face mask. Maybe it will wake him up before he loses everything. I hate to see somebody that could be so helpful to younger people in athletics and could be a sterling example of what you can do with talent and how far you can go, act so doggone stupid as Johnny Manziel of Texas A&M University. Your thoughts? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's applicable, like I said, to most everybody in all walks of life. When you got talent, you've got a lot of things going for you. Why? Take the gun out of your holster and shoot yourself in the foot. It just doesn't make any sense. Give me a call, please, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to say thank you to some of our great Cassia County Fair and Rodeo sponsors like Butte Irrigation, 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul, and a new location on Kimberly Road, north of Kimberly by Red Cap Corner. Oh, they're serving you as they have since 1975. They've got it all for you, everything you need for irrigation. They'll get you wet at Butte Irrigation. And also our thanks go out to Burley Veterinary Hospital. Nice people, Doctors Wally Ward and Scott Morley, working on small and large animals, and a commitment to offering veterinary medical diagnostics and treatment in a caring and compassionate atmosphere. Burley Veterinary Hospital, 2869 Overland in Burley. And last but not least, let's talk about the Book Plaza, 222 West 11th Street in Burley. Colonel Dale, how are you? Come on in and see what's new at the Book Plaza. New and used books, gifts for all occasions, great gifts for Mom always, and it is the home of the National Pioneer Hall of Fame. All right, your turn. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. In also the news this morning, I want to ask you your opinion on something. You know, and I'm very open about this and very vocal, I do not like Barack Obama. I do not like his staff. I do not like his ideology. I don't like anything about this man's administration. I can't be any more honest than that. But last night, I think Barack Hussein Obama has hit another low point in his tenure as president. I find it to be very low, and this is where I want your opinion out there, audience, to see maybe I'm wrong. But I think it's very low class at this particular time in history, where we are seeing the threats of Al-Qaeda and terrorism to where it might hit at any one of 20 to 23 different places around the globe. And we are looking at scandals in this administration, whether it's Benghazi, the IRS, First Amendment rights, anything, a lot of problems. I find it low class for President Obama to go on a late-night basic comedy show like Live with Jay Leno. I find it very, very low class, talking about our security, on a comedy late-night show, I find that to be inexcusable. I don't think the president should be going on television on these humor shows. If he's going to go on TV, he should go on talk shows, whether it's Hannity or whomever, and really explain what's going on in the news with his administration or CNN. It doesn't make any difference. But to go on a show like Jay Leno, and basically it's for laugh and fluff and everything else, I find this to be very offensive. What are your thoughts? Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. If I'm right, agree with me. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I am waiting for your call that I know is coming in, dial the numbers. Well, you don't have to dial anymore. Just punch the numbers. Harris Plumbing NG for all your plumbing service needs. What nice guys. I mean, they came in my house, and one call does it all, 431-8633, and I said, I got a problem with this, and I got a problem with that. And about a couple of minutes later, they said, problem solved. They take care of drips, leaks, clogs, main water line repair, water heaters and softeners, 24/7 service. I mean, they're very conscientious, very courteous, treat their customers with respect. That's what you want. And they give you free estimates. Call them at 431-8633. Harris Plumbing NG. Excellent people. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I just got an email in Michigan. They're putting not only in Spanish how to get food stamps, but in Arabic.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Actually, I'll send that email over to you. I just got it this morning from a friend that's into saving our country. And I'll tell you, I mean, how much more capitulation in reading the little story about Hassan down there. You know, he doesn't apologize for anything he did. He just says, you know, he's part of the jihad, the war against us, and you know, my gosh, the guy's just incriminating himself. He has no defense. This thing's been going on and on and on. Come on, folks. Let's wake up and get on, smell the coffee, and let's realize that these people are out to kill us, and they're doing everything they can to destroy our system in the process. Anyway, it's just unbelievable.
Well, let me ask you this, and you and I are pretty close to the same age, and you remember Charles Manson, and you remember those horrendous and absolutely disgusting, despicable murders that he and his cult performed in the Sharon Tate murder case. Remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, now think about this. Here we have Nidal Hassan, a Muslim terrorist killer, an admitted Muslim terrorist killer that's handling his own defense, stands up in front of the courtroom and says, yes, I did. I killed all these people. Now, what would have happened, my dear friend Adrian, if at the court case, Charles Manson acted in his own defense and said, I did kill them all and I'm responsible? It would have been a slam dunk and the trial would have been over and that would have been it. This case is going to go on for at least 2 to 3 to 4 months at our expense. This jerk is going to be paid his money from our military, and he's making a mockery out of the justice system.
Oh, absolutely. He's just laughing at us. I mean, and all of his buddies around the world are laughing at us. They're saying, how stupid can these people be? They just, you know, it reminds me of what Khrushchev said, remember, when about communism? He said, you know, when we come out with more communist socialist programs, we spit in the U.S. face and they think it's due.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You remember that.
I certainly do.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're spitting in our face. They're stepping on burning our flag. They're doing everything they can to desecrate the American way of life, the greatest country on the face of the earth that's ever existed. And we're just letting it go to waste.
All right, now I want to ask you this question. Give me a short answer because I got to do a commercial real quick. Did you think, as I did, by President Obama, and I hesitate to use the word president for him, going on the Jay Leno show and discussing our national security, I thought that was extremely low class. What are your thoughts?
Oh, my God. This guy's, there's nothing high class about this guy. I'll send you over a video of President, the last Bush, when he threw out the first pitch of the third game of the World Series. Maybe you've seen that. If you haven't, I'll send that over to you. I just got that last night.
Okay.
The class of, you know, I don't agree with everything the Bushes did by any means, but comparable class and standing up for this country compared to what we have now. This guy's done everything he can to aid and abet the enemy should be tried for treason.
I agree.
You know?
Adrian, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. God bless you, man. I got to run. Thanks. Thank you. I cannot find anything decent to say about this Obama administration. There's so much going on behind the scenes that I ask you to study. I ask you to study what's going on. Take the time to study. Don't just listen to one source. Do your own perusing and find out what's going on with Obamacare, with our security, with the scandals, with the economy. The list goes on. And I'm sure that after your own study and education, you're going to sit back and go, holy cow, what happened here in America? JB's 136 East 5th North. Don't forget the best of food, the best of service, and, of course, the nicest people. Serving you, oh, man. You know, really, I have considered taking one day a week or maybe a day every 2 weeks and going over and doing a remote broadcast right from the side of that breakfast buffet so I can just kind of between commercial breaks jump up, get something to eat, and come back. They've got a wonderful breakfast buffet. They've got wonderful luncheon specials. Everything is great on the menu. Stop over. It's the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. You're going to love the food and the service at JB's, 136 East 5th North in Burley. Did I hear the cow, or am I hearing things? Ask and thou shalt receive. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
You know, the Muslim terrorists know they can't beat us monetarily or militarily, rather. They're going to do it through the financial system. They'll choke off the oil, and pretty soon the cost of gas is going to go up. A loaf of bread will be $5. A dozen eggs will be up to $7. And this thing will go on and on and on, and sooner or later they'll break Wall Street. And that's exactly what's going to happen if we don't get rid of this bozo in the White House.
I can't argue with your philosophy there, because I've had a lot of people in Washington, D.C. that I work with at the various think tanks said basically what you've just said. And these terrorists, I don't know why people think they're dumb. I don't know why people think that they're just leading a camel across the desert. Such is not the case. They're leading us into the point where we're on the defensive and they're on the offensive. And thanks to this capitulation type government that Obama has, it's getting worse every day.
Oh, I started reading Glenn Beck's book of the Agenda 21.
Yes.
And boy, it's all going to come true.
You know, I'm not, Tony, I think you want to say this, and you'll help me on my feelings a little bit. You and I are not trying to be promoters of doom and gloom, but you got to look at reality and say this administration, the most insidious administration ever in the history of the United States, with a very far left socialist bent, why can't people see this?
Well, I really can't see anything positive happening. I'd like to be able to joke and everything over the air, but this is not the time to do it. People have got to wake up before it's too late.
I agree. Tony, thank you for your call. I got to do a break. Thanks much, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks. Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, 203 South, Hayburn. Number to call, 438-8730. Right there at Jim McCall's farm. He just gets up, goes out the back door, goes in the front door, and there he is at work. Rolls and rolls of duct tape. And all the airlines, the brass fittings for the airlines and brake lines, and they got a closeout on small Honda engine parts, and they've got Bubba ropes. They've got everything over there for you. Please, if you need something, it's going to be there at Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn. Number to call, 438-8730. It is time right now for the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. Here's the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
A top Food and Drug Administration official will visit the Pacific Northwest next week to hear from farmers about their concerns regarding the agency's proposed food safety rules for agricultural water. The rules, which would govern how much bacteria could be in irrigation water, are part of new standards for fresh produce the FDA is proposing under the Food Safety Modernization Act. Onion farmers in southwest Idaho say the surface water they rely on cannot meet the new standards, and they would be put out of business. Fruit growers in Washington state have voiced similar concerns. The meetings will be at 2:30 p.m. August 12th at the Four Rivers Cultural Center in Ontario, Oregon, and at 8 a.m. August 14th at the Howard Johnson Hotel in Yakima, Washington.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Oh, thank you much. Don't forget at Pacific Steel and Recycling, they pay top dollar for scrap iron, tin, aluminum cans, computers, batteries, cars, and so much more. And they've been serving the Mini-Cache area for over 30 years. Nice people, very professional people at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. We're having an emergency deal right now? Yeah. Oh. Okay. Gina, am I still on the air or are we closed off right now?
No, you're on the air.
Oh, all of a sudden an emergency warning came over the radio. Are you aware of that?
No, I was not. And I'm sitting right here and I didn't even hear it.
My wife just said that the commercial I just did for Pacific Steel and Recycling did not come on the air. That there was a...
Sometimes, because I have everything in program, and so sometimes I don't hear those things, so we're on the air.
Okay, well, I'll just...
So I've got everything on air right now, so we're on the air.
I will just quickly say Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, the sponsors of our Ag Minute. And if anybody didn't hear that, we had a little burp. Deanne come running in and said there was a notice of a alert, and so it cut it off, and so I just wanted to make sure. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I really do want to know what your thoughts are. In a time where an administration has got its back up against the wall and trying to defend itself and not doing a very good job, with all the scandals, this mess with Benghazi growing like a fire every day, and then, of course, the closure of up to about 22, 23 different embassies around the world, especially and primarily in the Middle East, and the threat of any minute there may be another Al-Qaeda attack, do you find it fitting that the President of the United States would go on a late-night comedy show with Jay Leno and talk about our national security? I find it offensive and I find it low class. What are your thoughts? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Another issue, too, that there are many, many news clips that have been gathered and put together regarding Obama's past statements about Obamacare and how you can keep your coverage. Oh, yes, regardless of Obamacare coming into existence, you can keep your company, you can keep your coverage, and you can keep your doctor. Well, I want to put a boot right now into that thought. As a matter of fact, throw it right through the screen of the television every time I see one of those clips. It's not going that way. And for those of you that are Obama fans and think Obamacare is going to be better than sliced bread, think twice. Because right now, many companies are canceling their coverage. Aetna Insurance has started to cancel many coverages and group plans, and doctors are leaving practices. I remember vividly, about 2 weeks ago, on this program, a gentleman called me up and he says, I want the names of the doctors that are leaving the practices. Well, you know something? That statement right now is very hard to come by because, like Dr. Leno George said when she was on the air, yes, it is true, and I will be putting together and compiling a list of doctors from sea to shining sea, whether it's New York, whether it's L.A., whether it's Atlanta, or whether it's Seattle, Washington. I am in the process of putting together doctors and clinics that are going closed because of Obamacare. Now, here's the reason. Companies are canceling insurance coverage. Doctors are leaving, and the reason is because they're totally overloaded with junk paperwork forced upon them and thrust upon them because of Obamacare, where they could see maybe 12 to 14 patients a day. Now they're coming down with the paperwork. Many doctors are forced to see, honestly, 2 or 3 because of all the paperwork through Obamacare to go to the government. And January 1st of 2014, the real train wreck is going to begin. Now, don't take my word for it. Just wait. Sit back in your lounge chair and watch the oncoming mess of Obamacare with a lack of coverage, a diminishment of coverage, a lack of doctors, and a necessity for them to almost leave the business because of all the paperwork. They can't afford to see patients. It's going to be happening, and it's going to get a lot worse. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's quickly have a weather update with MichaelRogersWeather.com, and we'll be right back, hopefully, with some of your phone calls.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers for MichaelRogersWeather.com. Another day in the Magic Valley neighborhood where you will see a lot of sun, very little clouds. You could see a thunderstorm today, but it's going to be hot. 94 for the high. And 62 for the overnight low for tomorrow. You'll start out today with a overnight low of 63, and you'll finish up the day for tomorrow with a high of 92. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. The only weather you got.
Michael, thank you very much. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I am surprised that more people haven't called and voiced their opinion about whether or not the president should be on these late-night basic TV comedy shows, and like Jay Leno, etc., and discuss at that juncture with that audience security and all the other things that are going on that are very serious right now, and I don't think are appropriate for basically a Hollywood prime rise and shine type audience. I just don't agree with it. I think it's bad taste. What are your thoughts? Give me a call. Here's another thing to think about. And Gina, are you right by your microphone? I'm going to ask you this question. Is she there? Have you seen on television the Vonage telephone? Pardon me?
I don't have TV.
You don't have a TV?
I don't subscribe to any sort of cable networks.
Oh.
I don't have Dish. I don't do TV. Period. I don't do TV.
I was going to buy you one for Christmas.
I've got a TV that we watch a lot of movies on.
Okay.
But I don't watch TV.
Well, I'll get back to you with that question. I can hear the phone ringing.
Yeah, we've got that. 2 phone calls for you.
All right, we have a call coming in, and we'll take that momentarily. And good morning, caller. You are on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, too. What can I do for you, Keith?
How are you this morning?
I am fantastic. Go ahead. What are you going to talk about?
Do you remember when Obama talked to Joe the plumber?
Mm-hmm.
And what that cost him? He's never going to get in a mixed crowd again. I'll guarantee you.
Well, when you say he's never going to get in a mixed crowd again, I'm not sure where you're headed on this. What did you think, or what do you think, about the president playing the Hollywood crowd with all the glitz and the glitter and going on the Jay Leno show and talking about national security and world security at a time when Al-Qaeda could make a threat and kill, maim, and destroy? What are your thoughts about that? Let's just talk about that right now.
Well, the president at no time should be going on a talk show. That's just poor politics. And all he's doing is he just continued to campaign. That's what he's doing, is campaigning.
You know, you're right. You're right. I appreciate what you just said. He's campaigning. He's absolutely not being a president. He's not being a leader. He's out campaigning for 2014 to basically make sure that his co-workers, his ilk, are put into office, whether it's in the House or the Senate. You're 100% right. All he is doing is out on the stump campaigning, and that's not much leadership at a time that the world is turned into a hand grenade.
What really provokes me is the fact that he can't play to a mixed crowd. I mean, if anybody has access to the president, they're screened and made sure that they're not going to question his ability.
That's true.
So we only get a slanted view of him.
Well, the view that I see over the last 5 years, and even longer than that, when he was a senator in Illinois, is a man that I don't trust, a man that I don't like, a man that I don't want as any form of leadership, a man that I don't want holding the suitcase or the briefcase with the nuclear button inside. I don't trust this man any way, shape, or form.
I don't either, and like I said before, he will not talk to you or I. Hannity is asking to come on many, many times. He came on Bill O'Reilly one time, and I don't think he's ever been back since.
Well, there was an interview during the Super Bowl that O'Reilly did with Obama, and quite frankly, I thought it was gratuitous. I don't think O'Reilly, I said this many times, I don't like Bill O'Reilly, and there are very few segments that I think he really is informed and has done his homework so that he's aware of really what the situation is. He uses bloviating and a loud voice to overshadow his guests to make sure that he gets his point across, and I thought the interview with Obama was just another so-so interview. I didn't think it was that great.
Yeah, he didn't try to push his weight around with Obama. Everywhere Obama goes, he says something funny, everybody laughs. What they're laughing at is they're patronizing the man.
Absolutely.
It's not that funny.
No, I agree with you, Keith. I think it was very perceptive on your part. I think that this man and the media, they are in bed together, and they absolutely there's a no-fault. There's a no-fault attitude from the media, whether it's the New York Times, whether it's ABC, whether it's CNN, or whether it's CBS. There is a no-fault attitude of this president because they absolutely are promoting the agenda of the liberal left, and it's sickening, despicable, and it's hurting America.
If he possibly could, he would shut Fox Network clear out of the picture.
In a heartbeat. I agree. Keith, I got to do a commercial. Thank you for your call this morning. You were spot on. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the 3rd Annual Idaho Liberty Summit next week, August 16th and 17th at the Best Western Burley Inn Convention Center in Burley. Now, here we go. We're complaining about the way things are going in this country, and these people are trying to do something to change it and make it better. Get involved with this. And I'm asking you to go register for this big event over to Moon and Associates in Rupert, or go to Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley and register for this big, big, important event. And you can also call 436-3714. That's going to be the 3rd Annual Idaho Liberty Summit. It's going to be August 16th and 17th at the Best Western Burley Inn and Convention Center. Take pride in what America was, and it can be again. Okay? Calls welcome. Give me a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was talking about the Vonage telephone. Oh, we got a call coming in. We'll start that story again. Hold on, caller. Go ahead.
Yes, Zeb, on this summit, we need to call Dean Cameron, Fred Wood, Scott Bedke, Mrs. Bell, and have them be there. We need to have the sheriffs be there, because the other day, who was the gentleman you had on yesterday that is the author from Provo?
That was Joe Wolverton.
Yes. Well, when he said that in a blink of an eye, or less than a blink of an eye, you could monitor all of the gunpowder in, 2,000 square miles or 200 square miles with a drone, or some unbelievable thing he said. And you said to yourself, there are sheriffs around this valley that do not believe that that's going to happen. And I don't know, Zeb, but I know this. Ignorance is no excuse. When I get caught speeding and I said I didn't see the speed sign, he says, well, it don't matter, sir. I got to write you a ticket.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter. But we need to call these people, and not just me. And I'm not saying you. I'm talking about whoever wants to pitch in. And see, I listen to all the passionate patriots who call into this program, and I'm always hoping that I hear somebody new and different calling in, and I'm hoping that your listenership is expanding to younger people and maybe some Hispanics that care but have believed something different.
Let me interrupt you right there, Randy. Randy, let me interrupt you right there on that last statement, because that has happened on numerous occasions, even after the program, and I want to give credit where credit is due. I have had numerous phone calls from members of the Hispanic race that have called and thanked me for my stand on illegal immigration and my stand on politics in general, and I think they deserve a credit given on the radio. I think too often we lump everybody together and say they're bad, they're good, they're indifferent, whatever. And I want to give credit because off the record, sometimes away from the radio program, I hear that people are listening, people are upset, people want to do something, and it's not just the white race, if you will, that's getting active and wanting to get involved. And I think credit should be given to everybody.
Well, this is the thing. Sometimes it's a little unsettling to call in, and I understand that, but people, new callers, it's such a great, it's inspiring, and I recommend that you do it, it's therapeutic to me. I get it off my chest that if you're listening and you have an opinion, call in.
I agree with that.
Because, the same old guys calling in is great, but we need to hear your opinion.
Absolutely. And this is what the show's all about, and that's why the popularity has grown, and I'm very thankful. I thank the good Lord above for that. I don't want to lose any of our old callers because I always look forward to talking to you. But then on the other hand, everybody's opinion is welcome, and the more we speak out, the more people understand that changes have to be made. Randy, appreciate your call as always. Have a good day. Thank you, sir. That's a good point. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Say cheese at the Jerome County Fair. The Jerome County Fair in full swing. Today's Wednesday, and tonight's going to be the first performance of the PRCA Rodeo at the Depew Arena at 7:30 p.m. All during the day today, they've got all kinds of things, the big beef show, and they've got a sheep show this afternoon at 1 o'clock, and all kinds of goodies. The carnival's open today. I mean, you better get over to the Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo. And don't forget, on Saturday night at 6 p.m., they're going to have the big Mud Bogs race. Woo, that's going to be fun. Say cheese at the Jerome County Fair at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. You have a great time. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Okay, I'm a first-time caller, Zeb, so that you can hear a different opinion, but it's going to be the same opinion.
Okay.
I got a question for you. Where else would you find a clown?
Where else would you find a clown?
With our president showing up on Jay Leno, it's a clown at the circus.
You know, I don't like this man. I don't like Obama. I never wanted anything to do with his ideology, and I was called a racist by the Democratic Party here in the state, and it bloomed out to a nationwide scandal. And the Democrats went after me and said I was a racist, when at the same time I was supporting Condoleezza Rice, and she happens to be black also. But the Democrats are very short-sighted. They can't see past the rim of their glasses on their nose. This man is an amateur. This man absolutely has no business leading the White House. And right now, sir, at a time when our soldiers are still getting killed and we have all the problems in the world with the scandals, Benghazi's not answered, we have terror threats at 22 different locations, to go on Jay Leno, I think that's offensive.
Yeah, it's a travesty that he can't take the time and care enough about the country to lead us in the proper way, and it's not anything to do with his race or anything. It's just his inability to do what's right, I think.
You know, let me ask you this. Do you think it's his inability, or is he the puppet being played by the strings up above that have him so that he's always going to be deflected from anything that's going to criticize him, his party, or his power? I'm wondering if there isn't something more insidious behind him.
Yeah, I don't know about, inability, but also I'm with you. I think that he's nothing more than a puppet for people that are trying to take control of our country and our world. And he's a very effective puppet. He does exactly what he's told. And if he doesn't have his teleprompter, he doesn't know what to say or how to say it.
Amen. That teleprompter, if it ever goes boop right in the middle of it, this man is lost. Sir, you did an excellent job, first-time caller. Don't make yourself a stranger. Come back, okay?
All righty. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Very nice man right there. No, there's no secret here. I mean, the Democrats have criticized me, and they've called, oh, he's a racist, oh, he's a hate monger, and everything else, and that's their game. they play that game because they don't have any other reasoning. And Obama right now is deflecting all of the public scrutiny because of the news media being with him. I mean, Benghazi, good example. One of the killers, and you've heard this probably on some news medias. Hold on, caller, I'll be right with you. One of the killers, one of the people that put together the attack on our embassy, has been living the high life, living in the fanciest of hotels, drinking the fanciest of Mai Tais, and living right out in the open. And CNN finds the guy and does an interview with him, but our FBI can't confront him. We haven't had any arrests about Benghazi, other than the filmmaker they blamed it on. Are you kidding me? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Sam, I'm going to change the deal a little, but anyway, I've read in the opinion page Times News yesterday where this guy was chastising raw Labrador for crossing the line, so he says. And he was praising Mike Simpson, but this guy that wrote this article, his name is Chris Carlson, and he was a diagonal Democrat. He was Cecil Andrus's
yeah, well, that's okay. We don't need to know that, but just go ahead, Fred.
What?
I say we don't need to know all the particulars. Just give me your opinion on this.
But anyway, he was chastising raw Labrador, and he was praising Mike Simpson, but he's a Democrat, and he's up in North Idaho.
Yeah.
And of course, we know that know the voting record on both Labrador and Simpson.
Right.
And he stated that Mike Simpson was a good friend of the Speaker of the House.
Right. Well, let me ask you a question.
I don't think much of the Speaker of the House.
Well, let me ask you a question really quick, Fred. Short answer, because I got to get Les Schwab spot in here. When you listened to Brian Smith the other day from Idaho Falls, and be really straightforward and honest on this one, in short answer, what did you think of the guy, the way he answered the questions?
I thought he'd done a fantastic job. What did you think?
I want to get to know the man more. I think he deserves to be more open. He needs to call the media. He needs to call me. He should have, I'll be very honest, I think he should have called me back and thanked me for the airtime. I think he should have tried to set up another interview. I think he needs to be more outgoing, because if he's going to make inroads with the media and make the media want to interview him, he's got to show that he has an outgoing personality.
Well, I agree with you there, but boy, I'll tell you, as far as Simpson, his voting record is right down with the Democrats.
Well,
you can't change my mind.
I'm not going to try to change your mind, because you and I have talked about this many times, and I have a tendency to agree with you.
Anybody that wants to check out these records,
yep,
go to Liberty Works.
Yep, that's exactly
Freedom
right.
Works.
I agree with you.
Sorry, it's Freedom Works. And they can check out these records on anybody.
I agree.
Legislature.
You can follow the voting records and find out exactly what they're doing or not doing. I got to get Les Schwab in. I got to get in, Fred, but thank you. God bless you, and have a wonderful day, my friend. Thank you. Fred's right as far as following the voting records and seeing what they're voting for. Seeing what path they're taking as far as their voting record and their beliefs. People need to check on this. Don't just sit there and be like a sponge and absorb this stuff. I mean, we're the ones that are paying these people to do a job for us. And to not follow up and see what they're doing as far as job performance, that's our fault. Good morning to our friends at our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best in tires. You know, I'm very cognizant of tires, and as much as I drive, I want to make sure that I don't have bad tires on my vehicle. I don't have that opportunity to be sitting on the roadside someplace going, oh boy, woe is me. That's why I work with the professionals that really understand tires, and they keep me up on what I need to be doing, what I need to change, when I need to replace them. All of these folks at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers are that kind of people. Service reigns supreme. The best in tires, the best in brake service, the best in shocks and struts, the best in front end alignments, the best in batteries. But I'll go back again to that 7-letter word, the best in service. They really take care of you. Stop in and see them today. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline, and Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. How's it going, Gina? Busy day over there? She's answering the phone, probably.
Honestly, I was painting the barn.
Painting the barn on my time? How dare you stand outside with that great big paintbrush?
I know. So, well, the boss is coming, so I figured I might want to make the place look pretty.
You think I'm going to say something else? No way, girly Q. Not going to go there. No way. So the boss is coming over for a visit today.
Yeah.
Now, is he en route now, or does he still fluff his pillow up at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Oh, no. He's probably on his way. He's an early riser.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to have a staff meeting, and he's going to give everybody raises, and they're going to talk about all the fun things that are going on?
One could only hope, but I doubt it.
The chuckle there had a little bit of disdain to it, if you will.
Well, it's just an honest.
No. We give Kim a hard time, but you know something? He's got a good sense of humor.
He does have a great sense of humor, and, he's a wonderful man to work for, and so, he, boy, how that man puts up with me, I have no idea.
Well, Kim, he's absolutely. I've known him for, my goodness, over 40 years, I think.
Wow, really? That old?
Yeah, Kim's getting up there. Look at his earlobes. And have him smile, and he's getting a little long in the tooth, too.
I like the silver hair. It's very distinguished. I mean, he didn't go gray. He went straight silver.
Yeah, I mean to tell you, somebody poured a bottle of talcum powder on his head, I'll tell you. I'll be back.
He's probably driving down the road and listening to this thinking, you guys.
Yeah, this is the last day our show's going to be on. Okay. Anyway, I'll talk to you in about 6 minutes. Thanks. We got an airplane flying over our head right here, back and forth, crop duster, so you'll probably hear coming down any minute. Anyway, stay tuned because we got a lot of things cooking right here on Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, man, like I said the other day, you're going to have a party, you're going to have a company picnic, you're going to have a family reunion, you got everything lined out, you got your tents, and you got your tables and your chairs, and you got your food, but you know what you forgot? The porta potties. Oh, you can't forget the porta potties. My goodness sakes, Western Waste Services has all the rentals of the restrooms with the standalone hand wash stations. You better call them today. 734-6969. 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Don't forget to also get on the route service and get rid of your garbage. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Ladies and gentlemen, too, I'm very fortunate to have the best of people and the best of businesses on my program. And I thank Joel Heward and Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call and remember, 436-5636. Such a difficult time for the family when there's a loss of a loved one, and Hanson Mortuary always wants to meet your expectations of service, and, of course, remember, holding the highest of ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please call them today, like we all should have the information on pre-planning of funerals to help alleviate a lot of the stress and worry for our family members. You call Joel and his staff, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. Well, lo and behold, it is Wednesday already, and we get a chance to talk to one of my very, very good friends back in Colorado, and that's, of course, the author of No Tomorrows, and also his blog called the Horse Sense Blog. Here is Mr. Doug Johnson. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Well, good morning, Zeb. I am very good. I was telling Gina, we actually have a rainy day here. A rare rainy day. We've been getting a little bit of moisture, but we're going to have a full day of rain, and we are thrilled with it.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question before I talk to you about that cartoon that you sent me regarding capitalism. But last hour, I put it out, and I want to hear your opinion on this. I thought it was extremely low class, and I'm prejudiced in my opinion because I do not like Barack Obama. I don't like his ideology, and I certainly don't like his governing. But I thought it was extremely low class at a time, Doug, that we are seeing terrorist threats at possibly 20 to 21 different sites at embassies that we control in the Middle East. We see the scandals with Benghazi, the IRS, the First Amendment scandal, etc., and the president, I think, in a very low-class way, goes on late night with Jay Leno and discusses our national security. I thought that was totally inappropriate. What are your thoughts? Am I right or wrong?
Oh, you're definitely right, and I guess what I would say, to cut right to the bottom line, is we shouldn't be surprised. He's proven over 5 years what he is and what he thinks. He clearly, by his actions, has shown he doesn't care about America or Americans, our safety or anything else. And so I really don't think we should be surprised. We should be, rather than surprised, we should be outraged and be demanding change.
Well, I just think that that was not the venue to basically be politicking and to be promoting and campaigning for, I think, honestly, 2014. I think he's out there with the glitz and glitter of Hollywood for nothing more than being in the campaign mode and talking about our national security and what's going on now at a time where any minute we could be hearing about attacks of terrorism. I think it was totally inappropriate.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. On the same count, we know this man lives in campaign mode. He places himself in a public viewing standpoint as being outside of Washington, that he's fighting for America against the evil people, especially the Republicans in Washington, even though this entire mess this country is in can be laid at his feet. He places himself as outside of it, and the American people sadly buy it.
Yeah.
And going on shows like Leno's is part of it. And it's not only disappointing to see him do it, it's disappointing to see that shows would even invite him. They shouldn't even be trying to get him on. It is not the place of the president to be doing that.
Doug sent me, via the internet, a cartoon, and help me if I say the name wrong. I'm doing this out of memory because I couldn't find the sheet this morning. Make Mine Freedom, I think, was the name of the cartoon. And it was talking about basically capitalism, or the demise of capitalism, trying to be replaced with socialistic values and unionism in this country. Doug, that was one of the, honest to goodness, best cartoons that really typified what's going on today in the United States. I'll let you elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure, and let me qualify it. I mean, you and I are on the same page because we've both seen it, and I posted it to my blog this week. It was better than anything I could write, and so it's on the Horse Sense blog if people want to see it at horsesenseblog.com. But Make Mine Freedom was made in 1948. It's a cartoon video between 9 and 10 minutes long. And it basically does just what you say. It uses the term isms, so it's speaking, I think, at that time of both communism and fascism and socialism and any ism that isn't capitalism, and how they make false promises and deceitful promises, and how capitalism stands up and what it is and what it has done. And it shows really, why America is the greatest place in the world to live. And as I said in the email I sent you, I believe that if every American would watch and understand this video, we wouldn't have the problems in our country we have, because it is so crystal clear, the message, and it's so easy to understand. And most Americans don't understand this stuff, but it's just blatantly obvious. And so when I saw it, I thought, this is the best thing I've seen in a long time, and that's why I sent it to you.
Well, I got to say this, Deanne is in my office working at her desk, and I'm sitting at my desk, and she says, Doug Johnson sent you a cartoon video to watch. And my first response, and Doug, I'm pretty honest and blunt, my first response was, I'm too busy to sit and watch a cartoon video right now. Well, I said, okay, well, if it's Doug sending it to me, it must be worthwhile. I got to tell you, folks, you need to see this, and you need to understand. You said, Doug, it was made back in 1948, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the content will just absolutely open your eyes, because it just capitulates everything that's going on, or encapsulates, I should say, everything that's going on right now in 2013. It just hit us right between the eyes. Doug, you were right on. It was very worthwhile watching, and it could be kind of a precursor as to what's to come with the downfall of capitalism if we're not careful in this country.
Well, absolutely, and one of the beauties of cartoons, of animation, is they can do things. They can actually use a caricature-like image of some character that allows them to really emphasize certain things. So the person trying to sell the false isms like communism, fascism, socialism comes across as a real slick huckster. And when you see it, it's more powerful. But what amazed me, Zeb, is exactly what you just said, is how it applies today. This thing, in 1948, the nation was, if I remember right, and they say it in the cartoon, like 160 years old. Here we are today in 2013. So we are about 65 years later, and the nation is not only older, but it's in severe trouble, much greater threat than it was ever in back then. And this thing still applies today. And it says to me once again that truth is timeless. And this idea we hear today so often by especially the younger generations that, well, that's old thoughts, it doesn't apply, is that they don't understand the great wisdom that comes through time and experience and age.
Doug, you travel a lot, and you're on various radio stations all across the country with various radio hosts, and you have various call-ins from people out in the hinterlands. My question to you is, do people care anymore? I'm not saying specifically numbers, but do people in general in this country, do they care about their Constitution? Do they care about the value system here in America? Do they care about their freedoms? Do they care about capitalism? I'm almost to the point, and I'm not trying to sound negative to you, my dear friend, I honestly think they've taken it for granted so long that they've lost their ability to care whether they have it or not.
Well, to answer your question, and it is interesting as I'm on around the country and talk to and meet different people. Of course, talk radio tends to bring in a lot of people who do care, because they're the people who are taking the time to learn and listen, and they're worried about the future of their country. They're worried about their children and their grandchildren and the future they face. So those people often will be people who are definitely interested. You get a few callers, especially depending on the market, that may not, but they call. They want to, a lot of times just try to harass you and such. But sadly, overall in the population, the majority of the population, I think you actually picked words as I was hearing you phrase this question, Zeb. I was kind of anticipating where you were going, but you used a phrase that I think is really, really apropos, and that is when you said that people take it for granted. And that's it. We have become, and we, I mean just in generally the nation, has become overly comfortable in what we have, and we don't realize, most people, and this wouldn't really include your listeners, but most Americans don't really pay attention and don't really care and aren't really aware of it. I saw a piece this morning where foreclosures are on the rise again, and a friend sent it to me with a note saying, wow, this is terrible. And I wrote back, I said, I'm not surprised. I've been predicting this all along. Things have not gotten better. The economy is not better. Jobs are not increasing. In fact, the jobs that are coming are part-time jobs and low-level jobs. And you would think that would cause people to stop and wake up and pay attention. But people have gotten so lax that they're more worried about watching their current reality show or spending time doing what they want to do instead of paying attention to what's happening to their country. And so that's why it's up to us who do pay attention to fight harder, scream louder, preach louder. And I will say one last thing before I'll let you respond back in, Zeb. We have to remember that during the American Revolution, that approximately 1/3 of the nation was in favor of the revolution. 1/3 was against it, and 1/3, frankly, didn't care either way. So it didn't take a majority of Americans to create what this country is, and we have to remember that when we're fighting.
I want to come back to what you said just a minute ago about the housing market. I want to talk to you about that just a little bit this morning, so stand by. Ladies and gentlemen, more with Doug Johnson in just a moment, but quickly I want to tell everybody about Idaho Lending Group, 1182 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls, telephone number 734-5626. Write that down, 734-5626. Idaho Lending Group, NMLS number 181777, equal opportunity lender, and they can help you with your mortgage. They can help you with the refinancing of your mortgage, and they can give you and help you with all the understanding of the various loan options that are available to you. Call them today, 734-5626. Idaho Lending Group, Scott Martin and his crew, they save me money, they can help you. 1182 Eastland Drive North in Twin Falls. You know, Doug, you just touched on something that I want to talk to you a little bit about. We're seeing a horrendous, devastating effect of liberal politics in Detroit. Detroit is a dead city. Yesterday, Obama came out and said that he would like to see possibly Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac go by the wayside and let the government take over on the financing and mortgaging of home loans, which is nothing more than social engineering, and lower the credit standards so that more people could buy homes and get into homes. Doug, that's exactly the train wreck that we're just getting over. Why? Why can't the people see and understand what this president is saying? Alter the credit limits, lower the standards, social engineering, and we're going to end up with the United States in general looking like Detroit. Do you agree or not?
Oh, absolutely. Most people think the government has an unlimited source of money. It's a truly deep pocket. They do not understand how economics works, and really it's so simple, but they don't understand. They don't pay attention. They tune it out. Most people, if you can ask them to do some math in their head, get upset and say, I don't do math, and shirk it off. And so they don't understand what this means, because when you lower the standards, you do exactly like you say, what they did before that got us into the mess in the first place. And we have to remember, the president wants to do this not to help Americans get homes, as he says, and so on and so forth. This goes back to what you and I have talked about, many times before, and that is, this man is a progressive. The progressive agenda is to collapse the American economy by overloading it. You create so much debt, so much difficulty, the whole thing collapses, and then they can come in with their socialist Marxist system to replace it, and people will be hungry and cold and struggling and say, whatever you can do to help, and they'll buy into it, and boom, then it's all over. And that's exactly what they're doing. It has been their plan for decades. This isn't just Barack Obama. This has been the progressive plan for decades and decades, working towards the overthrow of America. And they are well on their way to achieving it now, because we're on the very edge of the final fall.
I want to throw this at you. I know you're having some tumultuous situations with politics, Democrat versus Republican, liberal versus conservative in the state of Colorado. But all across the country, I'm not just going to point the finger of blame at Obama. I can't do that, because I've got to start with our representatives and our senators that go from our states back east on the Potomac, and they lose sight of who they're working for, their constituents back home. Literally, I'm pointing the finger at these guys first and foremost for not doing their job and not standing tall and representing their people. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Remember in 2010 when we saw such a major upheaval in the elections, which was wonderful, and we need that again in 2014. But the town hall meetings that summer, when the politicians left Washington and went back to their home districts, and the citizens went crazy. And it got so upsetting that the politicians canceled town hall meetings. They started to refuse to let people in. They didn't want to hear it. They don't want to be told that they've got to be accountable. They don't want to accept that they work for us. And so my fear this summer, even though I know some groups are trying to actually force town hall meetings, is the politicians will shut themselves away from it. And I know that the left is planning countermeasures to protest the town hall meetings. But we don't have an accountability. These people, like you said, they go to Washington, they get in their position, and they decide they're going to build their own little kingdom, and they don't listen to people anymore. And this is why it is so critical at the voting booth that we take control and take things back from them and let them know if you don't do the job right, you're gone. Good example. I read another article this morning that John McCain and Lindsey Graham were just over in the Middle East, and they were meeting with the Muslim Brotherhood about the whole situation in Egypt. My response to that is, why are you even bothering to meet with these people? These people are our enemies. But these two senators represent what a lot of people in Washington do, is that they don't understand the dangers to America. They don't understand what their job is. They don't listen to the voters. And so we need to send the message and say, then you're not going to be our representative anymore.
Absolutely. You know, Doug, when you look at the overall picture, and I know you write about this in your blog, and I write about it in my blog every week, but when you look at the overall picture of America and the decline of a value system in America, look at what they're doing now. They're trying to tell us what we can eat and what we can drink. They're trying to tell us now through Obamacare what we can have for health care and what we can't have for health care. They're trying to tell us with our lack of free speech anymore that we can't even use certain words like citizen or brown bag. Up in Seattle, they're trying to make it a law that you can't say those words. Did you ever think 10 years ago, my friend, that we would be focusing on such of these absolute minor trivialities to the point where we're losing sight of what's really dangerous in this world? And that's what's happening with Al-Qaeda, that's what's happening with our economy, and what's happening with our world standing. These people are minimizing everything to the point where the American public just doesn't care anymore.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Zeb. And, you know, I, for some reason, I've gotten a nickname from a number of radio show hosts as the Nostradamus of political prophecy, because a lot of things I say are happening and are going to happen are coming true. But I'll be honest with you, 10 years ago, I didn't see it. I started focusing on this about the time Obama came into office and started to figure out, and to me it's pretty easy to see where we're going now that I pay attention. But I was paying attention to politics, but not at the level I do today. And so no, I certainly didn't see it coming. And I guess my word to anybody would be is if we pay attention and really think we can see this coming and stop it, but we haven't paid attention, most of us, and so now we're in the situation we're in, and this is a real concern, because it really boils down to political correctness. Like you say, up in Seattle, to think about the word citizen and brown bag, and here in Colorado we got our own similar types of issues, and in different areas of the country have it. I'll give you a perfect example. My sister and I were talking the other day. She lives down in Texas, been down there for 30 years. Texas is, by most conservatives' thoughts, one of the most stable states in the country. Is a good place to go if you want to get away from the mess, that they're strong or whatever. And I was talking to her about it, and she said, we don't think it is anymore. I said, what do you mean? She said, with Rick Perry not going to run again, we don't know what the future holds for the state. The Democrats are making major inroads here, and they're using the exact same plan called the Colorado model that was used to overthrow Colorado and make it go from a red to a blue state, and they're doing the same thing down here. Now, when I hear that from a dyed-in-the-wool Texan, I mean, she's not born and bred in Texas, but boy, you'd swear she is after all her years there. And, she's concerned about where that state's going. That says to me, this country is in serious, serious trouble when states like Texas are being threatened.
Absolutely. Doug, as always, you do a wonderful job, and as a dear friend, I say thank you for coming on the program. Doug Johnson, author, speaker, business consultant, political pundit, author of the book called No Tomorrows, and, of course, every week, Horse Sense blog. Thank you, Doug. God bless you, my dear friend, and have a great week, and I'll look forward to next Wednesday.
Thanks, Zeb. I'll look forward to it, too. Talk to you then.
Thank you, sir. Doug Johnson in Colorado, one of my dear friends. Thank you so much. Let's see. Let's gather up things here. Oh, by the way, I've told you this, and you need to be aware of door-to-door salespeople that are selling Dish or DirecTV. They will lie to you to get into your house and then try to switch you to another service. I know, because they came here, and they didn't stay long. Gee, I wonder why. And they even said that they were associated with Quali's Electronics. Now, I know Quali's Electronics. I've known them for over 35 years, and the minute I said that, I know the family very well, boy, this old boy got up, and he's gone. Watch out for these door-to-door salespeople, because Quality's Electronics is a very, very reputable business in Twin Falls at 1730 Kimberly Road, and the number to call is 733-4910. They can explore the options and find the best option for you from both Dish and DirecTV and save you money. They install it and provide the local service. Work with the professionals. Work with the people you can trust. Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Cassia County Fair. Wow, we're going to be talking to Sam Yoshida a little bit later on this morning. But the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo this year, and they are going to feature at their concert this year. Their concert has become a big, big deal. The concert this year is going to be on Tuesday, August 13th, next Tuesday, and it's sponsored by Cat Country and Coke, and congratulations to those people because they're bringing in Aaron Tippin, one of my favorites, Aaron Tippin, and tickets are available at the Cassia County Fair office, and you can stop in or give them a call at 678-9150. The address is 1101 Elba Avenue in Burley. Don't miss the Aaron Tippin concert next Tuesday. Sow it, grow it, and show it at the Cassia County Fair. That's their theme. Everybody be aware. Next week is the Cassia County Fair. Oh, my, looking forward to that. Nice people. Always a lot of good things happening over there. Maple bars with bacon. Come on, Dr. History. Hey, let's not forget, too, Lee's Furniture Blazing Hot Summer Sale. You got to see it to believe it. They've got living room groups at clearance prices that you won't find anywhere else. No money down, no interest until 2014 on approved credit. And they've got bedroom items, and they've got all the assorted items like oak recliners and all the recliners. I mean, they've got everything there for you. Rolls and rolls of carpet specials and flooring, and you just got to get in there to see it and believe it. This is the place for the beautification and comfort of your home. Lee's Furniture, floors and more. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. By the way, we're talking about patriotism, and we're talking about the right thing to do, and I want to remind you, too, the third annual Idaho Liberty Summit is going to be next week, August 16th and 17th at the Best Western Burley Inn and Convention Center in Burley, and I wish everybody was as involved in America as these folks. Absolutely, the Idaho Liberty Summit, and please get registered for this event. Go to Moon & Associates in Rupert or Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley to register for this great event, or you can call 436-3714. Let them know you're going to be there. Let them know you support them. The third annual Idaho Liberty Summit at the Best Western Burley Inn and Convention Center. Well, let's go to the phone line. I got to pick this piece of paper up. I dropped it on the floor over there. Thank you very much. I got it. And we're going to be visiting right now with a man that has assumed a very, very tough job, but a good job, and he's a good man for the job, and that is the new sheriff of Minidoka County, Mr. Eric Snar. Good morning, Eric. How are you?
I am fine. Good morning.
How does it feel, honestly, tell me, to sit down in the chair behind the desk for the very first time that says you are the Matt Dillon of Minidoka County, the new sheriff?
It feels excellent. I feel really honored to be appointed to this position.
Okay, but you've taken over, and let's just be very honest and forthright. You've taken over a job that has been besmirched a little bit and stained and tainted, and you've got a rough road to hoe to try to overcome that with personal and public opinion. How are you going to do that, Eric?
Yep. Tried to do my very best at my job. Try to remain fair and consistent, but firm, and tried to lead this department into the future and move forward with everything.
Now, tell us a little bit about your background, Eric. You've been in law enforcement for quite some time. Where did you get your start, and how did it eventually put you in the chair as the Minidoka County Sheriff?
Okay. I started out my law enforcement career by attending the Idaho State University law enforcement program, graduated from that program in the spring of 1995. Got my first experience in actual law enforcement, started as a reserve level 2 officer with the city of Blackfoot, and then obtained a full-time position with the city of Aberdeen in August of 96. Left Aberdeen and came to Rupert, started here in March of 1998, and then hired on as a patrol officer, made it through detectives, and ended up serving as the interim chief of police back about 9 years ago. And then in February of 2005, I started over here at the sheriff's office, was hired as a detective. And then recently applied for the sheriff's appointment and was selected from the commissioners, and so it got me here today.
Absolutely. Now, one of the key points of interest, Sheriff Snar, is that you said in a column that was in the paper not too many days ago that the first order of business will be restoring public trust and morale in the sheriff's office. Now, those words sound good, but boy, that's a tough road to hoe. How are you going to do that?
Okay. First off, we're going to meet with the officers, someone we've already started meeting with, and the office staff here, try to find out how I can help them, if there's something that they need to help them do their job better. You know, keeping in mind of the budget constraints that I have right now, if there's a piece of equipment or something that they need, sit down with those officers, find out what kind of problems or concerns that they have, seeing if I can help address some of those problems. It might be something that, be in their personal life, I might not be able to help them on. And then find out from the officers what kind of ideas do they have to start to move this department forward into the future.
No, I like the way you said that. Talk to the officers about what kind of ideas they have. They're out there every day working with the public and getting the public complaints and or the positive remarks. What makes this county, a western county out here in the wild woolly west, Minidoka County in Idaho, what are some of the problems that this county might have as opposed to maybe some county in Wisconsin or Illinois or some other state?
Okay. I'm not sure what those other counties will have problems on, but I'm sure they're very similar in nature. Some of the counties might be smaller or larger than what we are, but they have the same types of crime and stuff. We might have more than they have depending on the size of their county, but per capita and stuff like that, I think we pretty much all have the same types of crime happening.
Now, when you say the same types of crime, and you've been aware, I'm sure, of the crimes that are prevalent in this area, what about the general public? What about me? I mean, what do I not know? What am I naive about that is a big problem that we're just unaware of?
A lot of burglaries, residential burglaries, vehicle burglaries. There's a lot of child-type cases that we do work on here. The checks, credit cards, anything from down through traffic all the way up through is something as serious types of felony types of crimes that we work.
Eric, would you say that because we live in a very conservative, very rural area, that people are so relaxed or perhaps too relaxed? I know a lot of people that still do not even lock their doors when they go out at night. They just kind of basically leave everything wide open. Are we just kind of naive or too relaxed here?
I think probably a little bit more relaxed. People take for granted when they leave their keys in their vehicles and stuff comes up missing.
Okay. What would you tell people, especially in your county now that you're the county sheriff? Are you going to have any information type seminars about maybe home invasions or burglaries or anything like that so that people can become better informed how to protect themselves?
Yes. Yep. Obviously, you'd want to lock your vehicles up, lock your front doors at night and stuff like that. If you go to the store, don't leave your valuables visible in your vehicle. A lot of the times, people go to the store, they leave their car unlocked. Sometimes they leave their purse sitting back behind their seat. It's a crime of opportunity. Somebody's going to walk by there. If the car's unlocked, they could end up taking whatever items that are left out.
One of the crimes, and I've had quite a few different people on the program, Sheriff, that we've talked about it, and that's home invasions. For some reason, you'll have to tell me why, but for some reason, home invasions with 2 to 3 punks, literally, barging their way in the home and holding the couple at gunpoint and robbing them, etc. Why has this turned into kind of a modus operandi of young punks today? Home invasions seem to be taking up a lot of space in the newspapers all across the United States.
Yes, a lot of them are gang affiliated, and it's about the age group that these individuals like to go out and target. I don't know if it's some part of their gang initiations or something that they have to do.
What can we've got a caller, and we're going to ask the caller to hold just for a minute. But what would you tell people in the outlying areas? You, the police, and the sheriff's department can't be everywhere in just the drop of a hat. What would you tell people as to how they can protect themselves?
Obviously, lock their doors and stuff like that. You your right to defend yourself inside your home, but I would keep your doors locked, and then obviously have cell phone capabilities, stuff like that. I don't know if people want to. I'm sure there's some folks out there that probably have weapons inside their house, but just make sure they're safe and ready.
Absolutely, caller, go ahead with your call this morning, if you would, please.
Good morning. I was just wondering how long your term will run and when will be the next election for a sheriff since that you've been appointed.
That's a good question. I'll have him answer that on the air. Sheriff, if you would. Thank you.
Okay. I do have to run this next May of 2014 to be in the primary for the Republican nominee for the sheriff. I'd have to turn around and run again in November of 2014. And then win that election, obviously get sworn back in January of 2015. Then I would have to run again in 2 years, and that would put the sheriff's cycle on the run. They have to run every 4 years, so I would have to run that many times.
Okay. All right, now, I want to go back just a little bit, Sheriff, to the home invasions, and you were saying lock the doors. And many, many people have said to me on this radio program that we're almost prisoners within our own homes nowadays for fear that somebody is going to try to break in. But, it's not necessarily a break-in. They might make their way in by knocking on the door and saying, well, they've got a car broke down, they want to use the phone. People, I think, today have to become very calloused and not do anything to open their doors to anybody. Would you agree?
Yes, especially in the middle of the night.
Okay. And like I mentioned earlier, the police and the sheriff's department can't be everywhere at once, and people need to kind of program what to do and what not to do as far as home invasions are concerned, and kind of have a security checklist. Isn't that right?
Yes. Yep, and especially if you have children in the home.
Okay. And what other crimes? I mean, the drug trafficking, it hasn't gone away here in southern Idaho. As a matter of fact, it's probably been enhanced. Are these major priorities to you now that you're the new sheriff?
Yes.
And explain that, please.
Well, there is a drug problem in the Mini-Cache area, and I know that the task force is kept very busy working those types of cases and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the personnel is concerned, I would imagine that there's always new training classes and new innovative ideas for law enforcement. Can you bring us up to speed as to what is happening in your career? Because it's just like whether it's the automotive career, whether it's broadcasting, there's always something new coming down the pipe. What's happening with law enforcement?
There's always training that's offered, through the Post Academy over in Boise. A lot of agencies host their own training, bring in a guy who's an expert on something. Officers go to that kinds of training and receive training, and then they can bring that back to their agencies. Some agencies that host those classes, they get free spots on the class, and then we can send a few officers from that company for free. There's training that's out of state. Some of the training that officers go to, they're only offered in certain parts of the country, and that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
With the budget restraints and stuff, we have only X amount of dollars to be able to send people to training, but it's always good to host in-house training.
Absolutely. Now, sheriff, and when I say the word sheriff, that word alone is the most powerful word within the county. It's not the federal government. It's not any member of the feds when they come into a county. It's the sheriff. And I'm sure I'm going to ask you, you're going to be asked this question in the future. Other sheriffs have been asked this question on my program. Are you aware to stand tall and walk tall against the feds if they come into your county and try to tell you what to do?
Yes, the sheriff is supreme law enforcement within his own county.
Okay, and elaborate on that a little bit.
But the sheriff is the supreme law enforcement officer for the county. I know the cities have their own chiefs of police at the city. They get their powers from the city. The council appoint a chief, and then they get their powers. He delegates that authority down to his patrol officers. But the sheriff is the supreme law enforcement in his county.
Absolutely.
And usually when the federal government comes in here, some of the agencies that we do work with, they come in here and they're always polite and courteous, and they inform the office of what they're doing here, and this is the reasons why.
Now, as far as county size and coverage is concerned, Eric, for your county, how does it stack up? I mean, do you have enough manpower to adequately serve the county, or with budget constraints, have you had to cut back? I mean, tell us a little bit about what your needs are over there in Minidoka County.
Okay. Obviously, we could use more officers. Each agency head would always probably tell you that sometimes when budgets do get cut, unfortunately, we have not had to cut any positions here within Minidoka County. There's a lot of issues that go on with budgets and overtimes and stuff like that, but we would always need more officers. It seems like that we need, but we understand that due to the budget and hiring and stuff like that, we have enough officers right now to have the ample amount of coverage to offer to the citizens of Minidoka County.
Very well said. Well, Sheriff, go ahead. I was
going to say, large portion of our county is BLM ground. That does get patrolled. There are other federal agencies that patrol that as well as the Minidoka deputies.
All right. You made a statement in the paper that said this office is not broken. So I think that sums it up. You're a gentleman that looks on the glass always being half full instead of half empty, and I wish you a lot of success over as the Minidoka County Sheriff, Eric Snar. Thanks for coming on our program, and now you can take that handkerchief and wipe the sweat off your brow and get back to work, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, Eric. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sheriff of Minidoka County, Eric Snar. Nice to have him take the time to come on our program this morning. I think we'll have a quick weather update with MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Another day in the Magic Valley neighborhood where you will see a lot of sun, very little clouds. You could see a thunderstorm today, but it's going to be hot. 94 for the high. And 62 for the overnight low for tomorrow. You'll start out today with an overnight low of 63, and you'll finish up the day for tomorrow with a high of 92. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Calls are welcome. Come on, we've got some time right now for you to come on the program and voice any complaints, voice any concerns, and you kind of pick and choose the subject matter for about the next 15 minutes right here at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I am waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I'd like to remind you about some of the great Cassia County Fair and Rodeo merchants that are helping support the Cassia County Fair, like the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. Oh, yeah, have they got a special? At 230 West 7th Street North in Burley. Need a break? Well, listen to this. They got a romance package at the Fairfield. A box of chocolates, a bottle of sparkling cider, a king-size suite, and a huge pool to enjoy. And you can leave the kids with Granny and Grandpa. Going to have a good time at the Burley Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott. Also, our thanks to Kelly's Bearing Supply at 1407 East Main in Burley. You know, Zach and Brett, the bearing specialists over there, bearings, chains, brackets, I'm telling you, they keep everything right on hand, so you don't have to waste your time or money looking all over at Kelly's Bearing Supply. They can help you in Burley. And last but not least, of course, our friends at Fence Solutions, 2833 Overland in Burley. Oh, yes, sir, Bob. Serving all of Southern Idaho since 2007. Premium vinyl fencing, decking, porch railings, everything. Vinyl products for your yard or garden. Give Corey a call, 312-9275. Fence Solutions, serving you. Okay, now it's your turn. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We'll take the rest of this hour and talk about anything you want to talk about. Hollywood actors are so phony, and basically they're hypocrites. And Matt Damon young actor. Well, he's not young anymore. He's got his own family and everything. But he said back in 2011 and 2012, he stood up in front of a rally for public education and public education teachers. And he stood up at this rally and he went on and on about how great the public school system is. And he went on and on about how great public school teachers are. Oh, they're fantastic. How wonderful they are. And he just enrolled his kids in private schools. He said, quote, that the school systems weren't progressive enough. And so he put his kids in private schools. There you have the hypocrisy of Hollywood. Matt Damon. Calls welcome. Come on, give me a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Call me, please. I want to hear your opinion. While I'm waiting for you to call, let's ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, open Tuesdays through Saturdays, and they've got the now in stock Can-Am Maverick Max 4-seater. That is ripping good fun. The Can-Am Maverick Max 4-seater, and they've got the 2014 models showing up daily, all the ATVs and everything. Showroom is absolutely chock full for you to enjoy and see all the fun. Let's ride. Open Tuesdays through Saturdays on Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop over and see Nick and the crew today where the fun is sold. Let's ride. You know, I was reading this story the other day about what terms the word police want to stop us from using, and it's getting worse all the time. You know, they want to take the word citizen out of our language. They want to take the terminology brown bag out of our language. I'll get back with more of this in a minute. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you for your call.
Hi, Zeb. I kind of apologize a little bit. I listened to you about Mr. Football, and then I had to walk off some frustrations and fat, so I kind of missed a little bit. I wanted to bring up a little bit about iconoclasm and feet of clay. I don't know if we can blame these young kids. I mean, they've got to stand on their own, but we as Americans, we have a tendency to make icons, and then when we see a feet of clay syndrome, we tear them down, and it's a little out of my realm as far as psychological mean speak or whatever you want to talk, but anyway, we create these icons, and I don't understand why we do that. There's only one celebrity, as far as I'm concerned, in the United States of America, and that's Jesus Christ.
You know, I like the way you stated this.
Clear off the rails and promote these guys. The quarterback will be up one Sunday, and they want to kill him the next Sunday. Does that make sense at all?
It does, and let's just talk about that just for a second. Number one, Johnny Manziel out of Texas A&M is absolutely an outstanding football player. He's got more talent, more God-given athleticism than about 99% of the other guys that are playing quarterback. This kid is amazing. But what you said, I think, is really true, but there has to be a humbling. There has to be a foot-to-the-ground attitude, if you will, and Johnny Manziel has lost that. And I earlier this morning talked about it. I think it's the fault of the coaching staff. I think it's the fault of his parents. I think it's the fault of his friends. Nobody has really, like I said earlier, taken a 2x4 and woke him up to really reality and how fleeting fame can be. This kid's in a lot of trouble right now with the NCAA, and he might not be able to play in the remaining 3 years of eligibility that he has. Johnny Manziel, known as Johnny Football, he got too big for his britches, and it's going to cost this kid maybe forever.
Well, I understand, but then I understand, why does that make any difference to me? I mean, football is a great game. I understand that. I've given my daughter-in-laws some advice, and they won't take it. They say, I told them, you need to take my grandchildren and teach them how to kill. They need to know hand-to-hand combat. They need to know how to use a weapon, and they're learning some of these things. But the rest of the world, they go to. I transported Koreans in Vietnam, and the lowest Korean, which I guess would be a medic, he knew hand-to-hand combat. You couldn't believe. And us Americans, the rest of the world is learning how to kill us. and we're learning how to play ping pong and golf and football and basketball. Football is a great game for leadership. I'll go with you on that. But I just wonder, why does it make any difference what this guy as a football player means? Do I live my life going back to my glory days and watching him play or football, or watch a golfer? And I enjoy golf, really. But anyway, I just think we're misplacing our emphasis as a society.
I can't argue with you. I think you're onto something right there, and I think you're right. And I appreciate your phone call, and I'm going to discuss that further. I think you're really onto some point here. Thank you, sir, very much. Appreciate that. I think we have misplaced our value system, but the only reason really why I wanted to talk about Johnny Manziel, nicknamed Johnny Football, is that because the younger kids look up to him. The high schoolers are imitating the way he plays that particular position in football, quarterback. And they're emulating and imitating him, and there's where the problem comes in. It might not stop with the imitation on the football field. It might go to the after extracurricular hours. And this is where this kid, Johnny Manziel, needs to realize, I know he's only 20 years of age, but he needs to realize what he does and how he's perceived is going to be picked up and imitated by younger kids. And to go along with what that gentleman said just a minute ago, I agree with him. At this day and age, we need to make sure that our kids have their feet on the ground and are able to protect themselves, are able to raise a family, are able to control their environment, are able to be adults that have responsibility. I couldn't agree more with that man that called just a minute ago. I think we've got away from that. And I think other cultures and other countries perhaps are well advanced or further advanced than we are in training our kids about the proper perspective of life. The man hit on a topic that I think is right. A lot of our kids are living in a kind of a cartoon world. Look at some of the man-on-the-street interviews. And this solidifies what that gentleman said just a minute ago. I'm appalled. Deanna and I, we really keep up on the news. I take a lot of notes for my program, etc. But when they do these man-on-the-street interviews, and they interview some of these 30 and under people of that generation, they don't have a clue. They don't look like they have or sound like they have any responsibility. They don't really sound like they care about their future. They don't really sound, when they're interviewed and asked questions, whether they care about a stable future with their job and how they're going to support a family, etc. They just don't seem to care. And I guess that problem goes back to you and I, our generation. Maybe we didn't do a very good job of getting that quote-unquote 2x4 and waking them up and teaching them the basics. I've been blessed in my life. I've been blessed more so than I deserve, with a son and a daughter and grandkids and families that are very, very well rooted into what is right, what is wrong, and what to do. They're very responsible. Is that bragging? Yes, to some extent. Is it pride? Yes, to some extent. But also, it's the truth. And when you see some of these kids, I'll give you an example. And Deanne, if you're out in the other room, if you could bring me that picture that we pulled off regarding that one person, that one boy, that changed his whole structure. He went to a surgery and had his ears all changed and rolled up in big circles, had huge holes put in his nose and everything. And who is going to hire that kid? Let me see this for a second. Thank you. He's asking for government assistance. He says he can't get a job. He has destroyed his looks, drilled holes in his nose, drilled holes in his ears, drilled holes in his chin and his lip, has tattoos covering his entire body from his forehead down to his toes. Who, I wouldn't, even if the government forced and coerced me and said you have to have fair hiring, I wouldn't hire him as a salesman on a bet. I'd close my business first.
Sounds like he needs to open up a tattoo shop. That's the only other job.
Have you seen this picture of this young man? Deanne, would you email this over to Gina, because I want her to talk about it in a little bit. Gina, first of all, be prepared. It may make you nauseous. That's how bad this picture is.
That bad. Huh?
It's that bad. And that's the problem with the younger generation today, but it's our problem because we've let them get away with it. We weren't stern enough, we weren't tough enough, and we weren't good enough leaders to teach and show them the proper way. And for that man that called earlier, you are spot on. I agree with you. Don't forget, when you think about life insurance, think about Cameron and Siemens. When you think about health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, think about Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Dean and Todd are dedicated and responsive to your needs, and they can help you. Believe me, I know they can. Call the number. It's 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You call them today. Let me see where I'm at here. I want to forget anything. I know coming up next half hour, we've got Sam Yoshida coming on the air. And Gina, by the way, did you get the new number? Deanne said that she had sent that over to you. Did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Thank you very much. And she's going to email you this gruesome picture.
I got it. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that absolutely horrendous?
Yeah, the only job that this kid is ever going to get is if he opened up his own tattoo shop. He is never going to get a job, or if he joins the circus freak show.
I don't think that there's any way I think I have command of verbiage, I can't even describe how horrendous, hideous, and absolutely obscene this man has turned himself into just a disgusting, grotesque individual.
You know, I have had a lot of friends in my life that have been tattooed and done some things similar to this, but not this extreme, because they know that they have to live in the real world. This kid obviously did not understand what he was doing.
I want you to put that on my Facebook page, would you?
You got it.
It's absolutely something that everybody should look at and sympathize with, because that right there shows the demise of our culture. I'll be back in 6. Oh, listen to that drum roll. Here we go into hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call 734-6969. We're going to have our guest on the air in just a few moments, but I want to remind you, too, the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, they've got delicious luncheon specials Monday through Friday for just $5.95. And senior citizen dinner specials Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. Again, only $5.95. What's on the menu for today? Baked zucchini, oh boy, I hope, ratatouille? Is that how you say that? I hope so, because it's got about 97 letters in it, with mashed potatoes and super salad. So we'll say baked zucchini ratatouille. I think that's what it is, isn't it, Deanne? Sounds good to her. And that's all at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Just go in and say, Zeb sent us after the ratatouille, and see what they hand you. Don't forget, too, the 3rd Annual Idaho Liberty Summit. It's coming up next weekend, August 16th and 17th at the Best Western Burley Inn and Convention Center in Burley, and you need to register by getting a hold of Moon and Associates in Rupert and call them at 436-3714 or Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. This is going to be a great event. Here we are complaining about Americans not getting involved. These people are involved, and they're working for us. The 3rd Annual Idaho Liberty Summit at the Best Western Burley Inn and Convention Center. Take pride in what America was and can be again. Also, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you about some of our fantastic Cassia County Fair and Rodeo merchant sponsors, and our thanks go out to Perkins Family Restaurant. Have you been there? Oh, the food is fantastic, and that's at 800 North Overland in Burley. Perkins Family Restaurant, the place to stop after the fair, have dessert, homemade pies, cookies, everything at Perkins Family Restaurant. Also, Pickett Equipment Company. I know these folks have for a long time. 976 East Main in Burley. Burley, of course, with the Twin Master Edible Bean Combine, Double Master Plus Side Pull Combine. They know bean equipment. Pickett Equipment Company at 976 East Main in Burley. And our thanks go out to Magic Valley Irrigation, 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Don't forget, offering irrigation system service and repair to the Burley area. And they manufacture wheel line, elbows, and they sell and service Cornell and Berkeley. They are the specialists, just a phone call away, 678-3101. Magic Valley Irrigation. Also, too, Redder's Showcase. Really nice people. 2611 Overland Avenue in Burley. They've got the Serta mattresses at Redder's Showcase. Great sale prices. Prizes during Fair Week. Up to 12 months on approved credit for Serta. Make a great deal on a gel bed. Number one comfort. It's going to feel terrific. What a great night's sleep you'll get from stopping and shopping at Redder's Showcase, 2611 Overland in Burley. Whew. Now, with all that being said, I know he's probably going to sleep on me. Get an alarm clock. Wake him up. President of the Cassia County Fair Board, Sam Yoshida. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
I bet you thought I'd never get done.
You were going through a list.
I had to, my friend. And you also, along with your committee and all the people connected to the Cassia County Fair, you are going through your list right now to make sure everything is all set for the big 2013 fair with the theme Sow It, Grow It, and Show It at the Cassia County Fair. Sam, tell us about all the preparations. What's going on?
Well, it's just like you said, we have a long list of things we have to do to get our grounds all ready, and so that with the county can come out and enjoy the fair for the week. There's quite a few things that we have to do to get in ahead of time to get things prepared, but I think we're getting close and getting ready.
Well, now, Sam, tell us some of the activities. Can you give me kind of a preview list as to what they can look forward to next week starting the Cassia County Fair?
Well, one of the things that we've changed, again, we really like our fair. I mean, it's such a very popular fair to come to, and so we don't really make a lot of changes. And what little changes we do, we just kind of do them subtly. And the change that we're doing this year is we actually are putting some entertainment on our south stage or our hypnotist stage. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to actually do some local entertainment there from 1 to 10:30 every day, starting Thursday through Friday. And so that stage out there will actually have entertainment along with our other free stage, which is in our food court area.
Okay. And I want to jump right to something that I know you're selling tickets for right now. And you and the Fair Board, I think, hit a home run by selecting as your concert great artist, Aaron Tippin. I think it's going to be a home run. I love this guy's music. I love his personality. Give us a little background about next Tuesday with a great big concert going on.
Yeah, like you said, I agree. Aaron Tippin was one of our first choices when we were looking at entertainers to come, and so we were glad we were able to book him and have him come. So that'll be Tuesday night, and we're really excited to have him here. It'll start at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night. You can get tickets at the fair office, or if you're in Twin Falls, you can stop by Vickers, or here in Burley, also at Taco Bandito is selling tickets.
You know, when you look at the overall complexion of the fair, the Cassia County Fair, what do you see? I mean, everybody goes to the fair for a different reason. Sam, what are some of the highlights that other people that maybe aren't interested in the livestock shows, what are some of the other things that would draw people's attention to come to the fair?
Well, the biggest draw that we have is just the social atmosphere. We have countless social events that people put on around the fair. I mean, I've talked to people in the past, and they've said that if we're going to come home for one time, they're going to come home for Fair Week. Everybody seems to want to always come back to Fair Week, and it's because I think that it's a time when the community can come together and just see each other, see old friends, see neighbors, relatives. There's family reunions, there's class reunions, all scheduled around Fair Week, and it's because they know that everybody in this little community is coming to support the fair, and plus we have great food. Our food vendors are phenomenal. They produce a really good food, and people just enjoy coming out just to have have a burger and enjoys everyone's company.
You know, now, Sam, stop right there, because you know my weakness is food, and for all the many, many years that I've announced that rodeo over there, it seems like there's a bountiful harvest of people coming up the stairs with cheeseburgers and maple bars with bacon. I mean, you better not be on a diet when you go to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo.
That's true, and we're always trying to look for new different types of foods, also to make sure that we please everybody's palate. But as you just can't pass up a fair burger. I mean, they're just nothing like it.
You know, I'm looking through the list here, Sam, and whether it's the Working Ranch Horse Contest that's going to be coming up. Now, that comes up actually on Saturday this weekend, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You know, there's just so many 4-H events and so much stuff that we have to schedule that we actually start the fair Saturday morning with the Working Ranch. And so that's the only time that we can actually get arena time in order to have to do all of our events.
Okay, and then next Monday the 12th at 8 o'clock in the morning, you'll have that big 4-H horse show, won't you?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. That's when the actual 4-H horses start in the arena itself.
Okay, and you've got other great events like the Queen Princess Breakfast, and you've got 4-H and FFA dairy shows. And I got to ask you, Sam, have you ever shown a 4-H and FFA turkey?
I never have. My involvement has been as a buyer in the past, and so I'm just kind of impressed at what they do with the turkeys and the, let's just say, the non-typical farm animals that you see that usually come to a stock sale.
But just for the fun of it all and showing that you're a good sport, would you show a turkey if somebody asked you to?
You know, I would do my best, but the best way I ever show a turkey is on Thanksgiving Day with a knife in my hand.
You are a smart man. Listen, there's a lot of people that I'll bet you would like to thank en masse because of all the volunteers that come out and help at the fair, right, Sam?
Oh yes, I mean without the volunteers, this fair wouldn't go anywhere. Everybody on my fair board is all volunteers. We all volunteer our time and efforts to just make the fair better. But that's the thing I stand in awe of as I watch the fair is that how much community participation we have on a volunteer basis, and I just really like to think I don't want to exclude anybody, so I just really would like to just thank the community in general for their generosity in making our fair function the way it does, and just the whole atmosphere be just one big party.
All right. Now, Tuesday, of course, we mentioned that Aaron Tippin's going to be the concert right there in the rodeo arena at the fairgrounds. And then, of course, on Wednesday, you've got a team ranch sorting. Tell us about that.
Yes, we do, and that's one of the highlights of our fair is the Wednesday night sorting, because there's no charge there. That's what's really nice is you can come and go as you please, but it's always consists of mainly local people, and we run 2 rings of sorting so that it's fast-paced action. Once one ring's done, the other one starts, and it just goes all. I mean, it'll go upwards to. Sometimes we haven't got out of there before midnight at times. But the thing that's great about it is it's a free event. It's something that you can come and cheer for your favorite local person, and it's really quite interesting and fun to watch.
Absolutely. Then, of course, we go to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evening. You've got the Ram Rodeo Series coming right there to the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo.
Yes, we do, and one of our highlights of the fair always is, again, some local entertainment, and that is our wild cow rides. So that's one of our biggest draws. People know the people that are out there trying to tame those wild beasts.
You know, anything other about the rodeo that you want to mention? What about tickets and seating, everything? Maybe you can tell a little bit about that.
Well, Thursday night is our kids' night, so kids in the bleachers are free. On Friday night is our family night, where we have grandstand seating, 5 for $40. And then Saturday night is our normal final rodeo, which we actually do our queen coronation at that time. Friday night we actually will coordinate our princess, And tickets can be bought in advance at the fair office, and sometimes that's good to do because then you know that you've got a seat, you know where it's at, and you've already picked it out in advance, and those tickets can be bought at any time.
All right, Sam. And then, by the way, too, another event that it seems to be a home run for people that just like to sit and enjoy parimutuel horse races. Talk about that, please.
Yes, we do have parimutuel horse racing. That will be on Friday and Saturday. It starts at 1 o'clock. I don't know how big of a field we have this year. I should know that information, but I know that it's almost a full field at this point in time.
Okay. Now, there's a couple other things I want to highlight here. First of all, also on Saturday, on the 17th, you're going to have a great big Dutch oven cook-off. Now, that is some mighty tasty food.
Yes, it is. That will be done out by our hypnotist stage, out on the south lawn, and I don't know how many entrants we have this year, but that is always a very, very tasty entertainment to go see because there's always free samples.
All right, and then, Sam, we want to highlight, too, because these kids have worked so hard with their animals during the course of the year, the 4-H market animal sale starting on Saturday, the 17th at 8 o'clock. Give us the highlights on that.
Yes, it is. That's the culmination of all a year's work of preparing your animals is to actually see the profitability of it at that point in time. And we have our fat stock sale starting at 8 o'clock sharp. Our numbers this year are about what they were last year, just slightly ahead slightly above on most animals. And so we really encourage buyers to come and help support all the efforts that the kids have done in putting into their projects, and help them out at the end of the fair.
All right, now Sam, one thing that I did neglect to mention, and I apologize, on Wednesday next week, the 14th, the Great Big Fair Parade. Talk about that.
Yes, it is. We have a parade that usually starts at 10:30 a.m. sharp. Our parade marshals this year is Chuck and Delta Skaggs. We're very pleased to have them as our parade marshals. They've been an active member of our parade. Their whole family, the Skaggs family, has always been a very active family in our 4-H programs, and we're really, really pleased to have them as our parade marshals this year.
You know, Sam, you did a heck of a great job this morning. I appreciate that. With the Cassia County Fair coming up this next week with the theme Sow It, Grow It, and Show It. Sam Yoshida, thank you so much for being on our program this morning.
Thanks for having me, Zeb.
You bet. Thank you, sir. Going to be fun. Your Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo coming up this next week. Holy cow, we got to pay some bills here real fast. And also take some more calls. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a jingle. Oh, what a busy morning. And in just a few minutes, we're also going to be talking to Jack Euler about the sage grouse issue, a very, very serious issue that even with the proclamation that the birds might go on the endangered species list, still having a hunting season? We'll find out why, and we'll talk to Jack about that in just a few minutes. Oh, almost knocked the microphone over. Don't do that, Zeb. Don't forget Quali's Electronics at, of course, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. I mentioned this before, and I want to say it again. Be aware of door-to-door salespeople that are selling Dish or DirecTV. They will just try to get into your house and switch you to another service and cost you money. And they might even say that they're associated with Quali's Electronics, and that is not true. Quali's Electronics doesn't do at any time door-to-door sales. No, that's not true. I'll guarantee you that Quali's Electronics, very, very reputable family business in Twin Falls, they can provide the options for you on Dish or DirecTV. They can do the installation. They can provide the local service and make sure that you're satisfied as a customer. Call them today, 733-4910, or go to their location, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls, Quali's Electronics, and they have been selected as the Idaho Small Business of the Month for the month of August. Very commendable. Gina, what are you doing over there? She's not doing anything. Facebook. Don't tell me you're painting. You know, when you came up with that statement that one day on the program, crack me up. Painting the barn.
Painting the barn.
Where did you ever come up with that?
You know, I've been saying it for years. I don't know where I came up with it. I think I heard it from my grandma, honestly.
And for those that don't know what it means?
It means I'm putting on the makeup and doing the hair.
So you go to the station at what time in the morning?
I'm here anywhere between 7 and 7:30 in the morning.
Okay, so you have Kennedy to take care of. And then you run out the door, and many times you tell me you go to the station in a kind of an unkempt manner. Is that right?
Well, it's the freshly out of the shower look is what it is.
The freshly out of the shower look.
Yes.
Okay.
And so usually, the morning routine is I get up, I run through the house, I get Kennedy ready, I run through the shower, and then I grab all my makeup and everything, because I usually have my bags, because I have a makeup bag and a hair bag. Yes, I have two. And then I run out the door, take him to daycare, run to work, and then finally once we get settled into the first hour, that's when I start painting the barn.
So in other words, when you go through the front door of the radio station, you kind of look like a paratrooper that just landed.
Pretty much, yeah. It's kind of scary. You don't want to see me in the morning.
There's so many more questions I want to ask, but I think for the sake of decency, I won't.
Please don't. But honestly, what I was doing just prior to you yelling at me.
I didn't yell at you.
No, you didn't yell, but I was posting up that picture that you wanted me to on Facebook.
Now, did you take a good look at that thing?
I did, and, wow. You have to be out in public. You know that people have to look at you. You know that you have to get a job. I mean, and this is just the internal conversation that most people have with themselves, right?
And I was looking at this kid, and what he did to his nose. His nose.
Gosh. Are you kidding me?
If he has hay fever, all the people around him in 4 different directions are going to have problems.
My daughter, she really wanted to get her septum pierced.
Oh, no.
That's the cartilage right in,
yes.
in your nose.
Yeah.
And she wanted to get her septum pierced. And I'm like, okay, well, and she hasn't yet, thankfully. And her and I talked about it, and I'm like, well, do you realize that if you go out and try and get a job, you're going to have to find a way to conceal that, because most employers don't want to see that. So there are rings and things where you can turn up and then turn up in your nose, and so people don't see that. But, I have tattoos. I'm very proud of my tattoos, but most people never see them.
That's right.
You will not ever see my tattoos, especially at a professional function. No, I'm dressed nice. You never see any of my tattoos. You don't see anything else. I look professional. I look the part. So when somebody like this gentleman that I posted up on your Facebook page goes out and does alterations to that extent, you have to realize that people are going to be looking and pointing at you, and so therefore you are limiting your job opportunities and to what you can do as far as a career is concerned. So now he's pretty much relegated himself to 1, working in a tattoo shop, or 2, joining the freak show with the carnival.
Yeah, now when you said that, when you said freak show, I don't think people at home realize how absolutely horrendous this picture of what he did to his ears is. Absolutely, it's unfathomable. I couldn't even believe that somebody could do that. Look at the pain factor that he had to go through.
Well, it's not only his ears, but you take everything. I mean, the ears, the nose, the lips, the tattoos around his eyes and down around his ears and up his neck and on his face.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but there is no amount of makeup that can cover that up. I mean, he is seriously going to spend hours painting his own barn just to walk out the door and look presentable for a job.
Well, let me ask you this, though. When you look at the ears as to what he did with, there's approximately, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, what he did to his earlobes, there's approximately about 3.5-inch holes in his earlobes.
Those are actually called plugs.
And how would that ever be reversed?
You can't. You have to go in and have it, you have to have your ears, because he has stretched them out so far. I mean, and what he did to his ears, that takes a lot of time. That's years worth of stretching out his earlobes.
Okay, now what about the cost factor on something like that, Gina? With what he did to his nose, his nostrils, and what he did to his ears, and then the tattoos, what kind of an investment money-wise did he stick into himself?
Well, a lot of that looked homemade. As far as the piercings and the jewelry is concerned, and of course we would have to actually look at him full body to know. But I'd say, just from what I saw, about $1,000.
Oh my goodness!
Is what he's got invested, and to reverse all of that, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So if there are any teens or mid-20 kids out there that are listening right now, look at this picture and please, because, hey, I love tattoos, I love piercings too, but realize that what you do to your body is permanent. And it's only going to cost you maybe a couple $100 now, but to get it reversed, it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
So before you get out there into the job workforce, realize what you're doing to your body first before you go out and actually.
Yep, and I'll guarantee you one thing. I will say this emphatically. If someone like him, looking like him, came and applied for a job at my company, I guarantee you the doorknob would hit him in the posterior leaving.
Well, I don't even think he could even get a job here. I mean, we're pretty liberal, but, wow, we couldn't send him out in public.
Well, how could you?
No, we couldn't. I mean, he would be relegated to the back room doing downloads and uploads, and that's it. I mean, you could not send him out in public without people just kind of freaking out.
Amen.
So he wonders why he can't get a job. Dude, look at yourself in the mirror.
There you go. I'm going to turn it back over to you for a few minutes, and then we have the gray-haired great one here, Jack Euler, in the studio. I'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. Hour number 3, and we are going to be visiting with one of my dear friends in just a moment. Stand by. Hey, say cheese at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo. Don't forget the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo is going on right now. All kinds of great things. Tonight, of course, the pro rodeo starts. It goes Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then on Saturday night, they're going to have the big mud bogs. But I want to remind you that at 8:30 on Saturday morning, the stock sale will take place for the 4-H and FFA at 10 a.m. They're going to have a breakfast starting at 8:30, and then the sale starting at 10 a.m. at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. Say cheese and have a lot of fun at the Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo. As I mentioned, I've got a dear friend here in the studio with me this morning, and he's been on this program many, many times. And Jack Euler, good morning to you, sir. Nice to have you here.
Good morning.
You couldn't find the mic, could you?
Right.
Jack, the other day on the program, we were discussing sage grouse, and you, of course, called in. I find it absolutely insane, and if you don't agree with me, I want you to tell me I'm wrong, but I find it insane that right now we could be looking at the sage grouse put on the endangered species list, and it could basically shut down ranching and agriculture and small communities here in the West, let alone the state of Idaho, and they're going to allow a hunting season for these birds. It doesn't make any sense to me. Tell me I'm wrong.
I agree with you. Grant Gerber and I had he's a county commissioner from Elko, Nevada, and we had a conversation here a while back about the very thing, are the birds going to be listed? And even with all the things that are going on, are they going to be listed? And he just looked at me and said yes. And so if they are, the economic impact to the West.
Jack, I've got to interrupt you right there. Evidently, I've got to shorten that wire. Can you hold the mic a little higher and not right there on the connection? A little higher on the mic. Yeah, right there. And the connection's evidently a little bit loose. Go ahead.
Okay. And you know, if they're going to be listed, or if they're in that much peril, it is my feeling that sportsmen should step up to the plate and do their part PR-wise, and this would be a move. Instead of having it on their backs that they were out there shooting them and killing them, that yes, we gave up this for how many ever years that it is given up. Mm-hmm. Now, there's going to be a Fish and Game Commission meeting held in Idaho Falls next week, well, August 19th. I got this in the letter, or in the mail yesterday, and it's my invitation to the meeting. And one of the subjects that is going to be discussed at 2:55 p.m. Is season setting for the 2013 sage-grouse season. Now, I was talking to a guy this morning about this, and he says, you know, it takes $100 to fill up your tank if it's not quite empty, and then go out all day and you can get one bird.
That's right.
And he said it is ridiculous to try and think we should hold a season for them and continue to go on. I got a lot more to say about that, but go ahead and take your call.
We have a call coming in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, you ancient traveler.
How are you?
How doing, Jack? Hey, I read that article this morning about the BLM, about worrying about the grazing and all that stuff. When are these stoops going to get it through their head? If them cattle graze off that deep grass, that's not going to hurt them birds, but it'll keep the fire danger down. If a fire comes through, what's going to happen? You're going to lose birds.
It keeps the fire danger down, but also when cattle and sheep graze on the land, sage-grouse chicks love that little fresh grass that perks back up out of the ground every day out of after it's been grazed, and it has water in it and it has nutrients for the sage-grouse chicks. And this is a fact, it's a biological fact, and there's no biology behind the things that BLM is doing. Since we got through with the sage-grouse task force last year, we agreed with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service on a plan to move forward, but BLM has been on a tantrum all by themselves, going in a total different direction, and I guess they didn't buy into anything.
All right.
I know. That's what makes me so mad. You got some stoop sitting back there in that office. They don't realize it. You know yourself, Jack and Jeb. I've even been out there on the desert when the sage-grouse and the cattle was grazing. They wasn't hurting each other one damn bit. So them people's got to get it together, because if they want to have a hunting season, then close the whole thing down. If they don't, shut the hell up and let's get back with the business.
I agree.
This grazing is not going to hurt them birds.
Absolutely, Al. Thank you so much. Jack, let me be the fall guy here and say this. You don't have to say it, but I don't think it's in regards to a possible endangered species. I don't think it's in regards to protecting the birds. I think this is another part, if you will, of Agenda 21 to basically eliminate humankind from the use of our public lands and move us out of the picture. Am I right or wrong?
In my opinion, you're completely right, because the spotted owl and the lumber industry and the salmon and the mining industry and on and on. And a week or so ago, there was an article in the paper about some plant that they found up by Payette, Idaho, that's only found in a 10-acre area, and so they're going to close down over 5,000 acres for public access. They're going to fence 1,600 and some acres. This is the thing. They want us closed off from public lands.
Let me give you a scenario, and you're closer to this than most anybody else I know, and you have done a lot of work for Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife and other groups. But now, wouldn't this be a best-case scenario if they all got into a room, whether it was the sportsmen, whether it was the BLM, whether it was the environmentalists, whether it was the ranchers, and we all get into a room, and we all said, okay, now here's what we can do. We can curtail the hunting season for about 3 to 5 years. We can do everything we can to increase habitat, and let's just see, before we get radical here and create an endangered species list, let's just see what we can do in a 3 or 5 year period and work together instead of endangering communities, school systems, private business, etc. Wouldn't that be a good common sense approach?
It would be, and it's hard to get all the parties together in the same room on the same page. But that is a very good idea. It's just like me. I probably am the only guy in the state of Idaho that's got a grant to improve sage grouse and sage grouse habitat and sage grouse property. And as a result of the 2-year managing that money that we got to do this project, we increased sage grouse so much that the guy that has that property now complains to me every time he goes to cut his hay, because he says, will you come and get these birds out of here? They're stupid and they will not fly. But there are sage grouse all over. And we did something besides the water and all that around the springs that we had to do for BLM, but we started managing sagebrush. You haven't heard anybody talk about managing sagebrush.
No.
We managed sagebrush.
Now, when you say
do you
that,
know what we did besides managing sagebrush? When you start managing sagebrush, you start bringing the water table up. And when the water table comes up, springs start flowing. And so you manage sagebrush also. BLM has never managed sagebrush unless they burned it.
Would you also agree with me that there's been a misguided or a malformed opinion about predators that they're not addressing? I would say, from what I've read and what I've studied, Jack, that you've got to eliminate a lot of the predators before you're going to bring back the sage grouse population. Again, am I right or wrong?
That's right. And it goes back to what's happening in Elko County and Box Elder County, Utah. They are managing predators through the county government systems down there, and it is working. This is the second year, and a year ago they had 3 chicks per nest on sage grouse. This year, there's 8. I mean, duh, it's numbers. I mean, count it. But they're managing. The ravens have increased over 600% in the last 20 years. Ravens are terrible on eggs. There's other birds that are terrible on eggs. But coyotes, the 4 species that they're targeting is ravens, coyotes, badgers, and foxes.
Okay, now, you mentioned earlier when we started the program a mutual friend of ours, attorney Grant Gerber in Elko, Nevada, right. Elko County. And it sounded very negative. It sounded very clandestine that he is going to throw in the towel and say that it looks like the government officials are going to go ahead and list the bird as an endangered species instead of trying to work and restore the habitat. Why does Grant feel that way? Because he's a very normally optimistic man.
That surprised me, but that was his answer to my question. And I think that he is feeling that way because of what the government does and what he's experienced with the government over the years down in Jarbidge and in other places.
We have a caller with a question. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
When Jack was talking about managing sagebrush, I'd like to know, is it increase the sagebrush population on a range, or is it decrease that sagebrush? To me, like it would be an increase because that's one of the foods that they eat.
Let's have Jack answer that on the air, sir, and I think that's a darn good question. Thank you, Jack. Go ahead and explain that, please.
Well, the sagebrush gets just like a juniper tree. Nothing grows under a juniper tree. Now, small sagebrush, there will be grasses grow under a juniper tree, or under sagebrush. But when the sagebrush gets quite tall and gets old, and you look along creeks where you can find 4, 5, and 6 foot sagebrush, there's nothing growing under there. You have to manage that sagebrush. You got to bring it back down to where it will allow the sun to get in and the grasses to grow and a lot of things. And what does that do? That increases the land for grazing. That increases, like we were surprised that we brought the water table up.
Let me ask you this question, Jack. Why are the bureaucracies involved in this so close-minded and so hell-bent on destruction of the Western economy and communities and grazing and anything to do with agriculture? Why do they want to destroy it? I mean, I don't understand why there can't be a workable and kind of a partnership on restoring the sage grouse over, like I said earlier, a 3- and 5-year plan. Why do you have to jump to the radicalism like the government wants to shut everything down?
Well, I don't feel you do, and the study and the grant that I got to do that study, I think shows that you don't have to go to those means to shut it down. But the ranchers need to get on board because they're the ones that are going to hurt the worst, and a lot of our economy depends on that ranching.
And one thing too, and you and I have talked to a lot of coffee shops around the West when we've gone to various meetings together, and in some respects I got to take the side of the rancher here to the point where he's just sick and tired of getting hit in the face. The wolf issue and all the other issues, irrigation issues, spotted owl issues, everything else coming down the pike. It seems like you can't keep up with everything.
That's right. And I can see why they get sick of it. They get sick of fighting. They get sick of everything. But, Zeb, we don't have much time. And I have a friend by the name of Jim Beers who worked for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he has written a short history of federal land acquisition, and then he comes in at the end on suggestions. Now, this guy retired from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and he uncovered in Washington, D.C., because that's where he was in the last part of his tenure with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, he uncovered the $61 billion that the environmentalists had taken out of government funds, and he turned it over to the GAO, and the GAO confirmed it, but yet he was sent home the last 10 months, and he stayed in his house and collected his check. But here is federal land acquisitions and how we're losing it. This is over a period of time. Now, I talked to Jim last week, and Jim has agreed to come out here. And I was talking, there's a committee that is talking now about this federal lands interim committee on lands within the borders of the state of Idaho. And I got a phone call this morning from Representative Mike Moyle to come to their meeting Friday morning in Boise, and I think I'm going to go.
Let me ask you another question here, Jack, Do you think, for as much as you've traveled around since 1995 on the wolf restoration issue, do you think that the general public is basically ill-informed or naive about what's really going on? Because I don't think they really understand that it's going to affect the clothing store, it's going to affect the ice cream store, it's going to affect the feed store, it's going to affect everybody's economy, whether they live in the country or the city.
Well, I would say they're naive. I also would say they probably don't have time to get involved. A lot of people don't want to get involved, and I have people come up to me all the time and say, somebody should do this about a certain subject, and I will listen to them, but there's only so much I can do.
That's right.
There's only so many miles I can travel.
That's right.
And it needs more people to get involved all the time. It needs more people to get involved.
Answer this. If the sage grouse is listed and we see a complete shutdown, perhaps of the ranching and farming industries and smaller communities within the state of Idaho, what next? It's certainly going to affect recreation too, isn't it?
It totally is. I mean, you're going to be, and the example that's why I brought up that little plant up by Payette that's only grown on a 10-acre plot up there out in the boonies. That's an example of what's going to happen. We are going to be shut off. We're going to be fenced out.
So basically, recreation, and whether it's four-wheeling or whatever you want to do, backpacking, whatever, we could see a complete shutout of our public lands for the sake of a bird that doesn't pay taxes, and that bird's going to control everything.
That's completely true. That is completely true, and the county commissions of Cassia County and Twin Falls County need to get on board and start working with Elko County and Box Elder County, because they have a biologist. They're not doing this haphazardly. Wildlife Services are putting out the poison nests for the poison eggs. It's done the proper way, but it's all done on private property. This started on a 15,000-acre ranch.
This didn't happen overnight, though. How come more wasn't done initially when you started hearing these rumors about possibly putting them on the endangered species list? Have people just kind of put it on the back burner thinking it would go away?
I don't know. If they put it on the back burner, look at the timber industry, look at the mining industry, look at all the other industries. I mean, we used to have a flourishing timber industry in the state of Idaho. Today we don't. We don't have it. I mean, we've been shut out by the environmental groups from the forest lands, and that's the answer.
And I would make this statement, and again, correct me. Once the bird is put on the endangered species list, and once they deem that the numbers have come back, there will never be an opening to the closures that they've committed. Am I wrong?
In my experience with the wolf, I would say that is a true statement. We're supposed to have 10 packs or 100 wolves. The state plan went to 15 or 150, and now we got over 1,000. So, there's evidence that we're in trouble if it ever gets listed.
Caller, good morning. Quickly, I've got to do a commercial break. Go ahead, please.
Okay, if they're listed, will we still have a hunting season? And I'll hang up.
Go ahead, Jack.
I sure hope not. I don't know. The Fish and Game won't get on predator control. Fish and Game is against predator control. Will we still have seasons? For what? We can't get on the land, so why have a season?
There's your point right there. You know, Jack, I want to say this, that you are an avid outdoorsman. Your son, your grandson, very avid outdoorsmen. And I should say that it must hurt you to say that you would believe in a closure of the season because you are an outdoorsman, but still, you got to use common sense. If the bird's possibly going to go on the endangered species list, why have a hunting season?
Well, like I said, it is my feeling that there should not be a hunting season for the sage grouse, and it would be, from the sportsman's point of view, if the sportsman is a true sportsman, they would say, let's do our part and let's try and stop this from going forward.
All right, caller, I'm going to ask your patience to stay on the air just for a moment. We're going to have a real quick weather update with MichaelRogersWeather.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Another day in the Magic Valley neighborhood where you will see a lot of sun, very little clouds. You could see a thunderstorm today, but it's going to be hot. 94 for the high. And 62 for the overnight low for tomorrow. You'll start out today with an overnight low of 63, and you'll finish up today for tomorrow with a high of 92. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to quickly tell everybody about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. They are our major sponsor on Zeb at the Ranch, and we thank them for all their work and their service. The best in tires, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. But when you drive in, they're the best in service to you and anything you need as far as tires for your car, everything. Service reigns supreme at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center. Stop in today and see Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Lane and Rupert, of course, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and our old buddy, the Seahawk fan, Randy on Overland and Burley. The best in service, the best in tires. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Quickly, caller, I've got 1 minute left. Go fast.
To Jack Euler, when you say there's a closure, do you mean a closure to motor vehicles and all roads crossing it, or is it, can I get on there on foot or on my horseback? Can I cross that land or go out and participate in something like that or is it fenced and I can't move? Thanks.
Good question, Jack. Go ahead quickly. I got about 30 seconds.
Well, the experience with that plant that was in the paper the other day, there's 1,600 and some acres you're going to be kept completely off from on foot, horseback. However, they're going to fence it off and not let anybody on there. The 35 or the 5,600 acres is going to, all the roads are going to be closed, and the roads will be open, but you can't get off the roads. So you can still drive on the roads on part of it, but you can't go through the fenced area.
So basically it would be like going through Central Park in New York. Stay on the trail or the road, or you can't go up there.
That's right.
Okay. Jack, I got to tell you how much I appreciate your taking the time. Real quick, if you got a final statement, I've got about actually 30 seconds more, and that's it.
I would like sportsmen to call the Fish and Game Commissioner, who will be at the meeting in Pocatello on the 19th, and give him your feelings as to how you feel about this, and move forward from there.
All right, Jack Euler, great guy, and has done so much work for Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife, and we commend him for all of his efforts. He's a true friend. Jack, thank you much. Tomorrow morning we'll saddle the horse at 8:06 and ride for 3 hours. Zeb at the Ranch on a Thursday tomorrow. Have a good day. The way things were, the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.